Rocky, 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 Rocky. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Coach, I hear you just fine. You're
Okay.
live on HBCU Coaches Corner. We are we are live on Syntech Sports and 94.5 FM HD2. And we have a great show planned for you tonight, guys. This is going to be an all-time great show. We have the legend himself, Doug Williams, coming on. The legend as a player, the legend as a coach, and man, it's fascinating the just how many friendships and connections Coach Cole has all throughout the HBCU HBCU community.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, the community. Coach, it's amazing that the uh, 40 years that, well, probably longer than that, Coach, the 40 years, 40 plus years that you've been a part of HBCU sports, you've made connections with people from um, guys like Doug Williams to one of the legendary coaches we had, Coach Hayes. We had him on earlier this season. It's been absolutely fascinating to meet these guys who really were trailblazers and pioneers in HBCU sports. But before we get started with all that, Coach, I want to ask you, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Shoot, and just you know, had a had a had an election last night, and understanding we got a new president, and got up this morning, and I love teaching the kids. Had a great day at school today, and looking forward to this show and a special guest and really a special friend of mine, and just for him just to take time out of his busy day, and I can't wait till we get that part of it. But boy, we had some interesting games this past weekend, boy. People are really telling who they are.
Yeah, Coach. Hey, Coach. It's absolutely fascinating to think about all of the goings on that's been happening in the SWAC and in the MEAC, man. Um, you know, the favorites are getting knocked off. You know what I mean? There are people that are emerging that we thought would be contenders that end up being pretenders.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That's a
and
nice
then
way to put it.
you have those teams, Coach, that we all knew would be good, potentially dominant, that have asserted themselves in the SWAC. Um, and so, and then in the MEAC, it seems like you know you have a upstart, not an upstart uh, program, but a first year coach that is putting his mark on the MEAC, and
Yeah.
so it's a lot going on. Just in general, Coach, what were your impressions of this week before we get into the specific games?
Well, like I talked last week, even though I had, we're talking about two of the best teams in black college football in South Carolina State and Florida. I mean, not Florida, but North Carolina Central. They were two different type where South Carolina State, with Chennis Berry down there, likes to hit you in the mouth. They've always played great defense, and more North Carolina Central was more the finesse team, and hit you in the mouth. Actually, won the game as North Carolina Central started off slow, and Trey Oliver made some great, and like we thought he was going to do, made some great adjustments at halftime. They only had one first down, and I know we're gonna get into talking about that, but that was a big game. Uh, it was a shocker for some people, but not when you got two great coaches going at each other. Uh, you know, Trey Oliver now gotta continue in that conference. He's just not gonna run through that conference anymore. And then when you look at the SWAC, you never seen a Grambling team in last place. Prairie View all of a sudden after 20 years of struggling when they went 0-80, and finally got their programs going the right. Now they're back at the bottom. You got the Pine Bluff sitting in the middle. You got Southern. Uh, I don't know what the word. I don't want to say limping into because they're not hurt, but they're squabbling. Up at the top. And over on the east side. I mean the east side. We talked about the big three, and Jackson State is making a mark. Right now they're leading it. Of course, the big game. If Alcorn could pull one off this week, is the Soul Bowl. And the Soul Bowl, if you know anything about Alcorn and Jackson State, used to be one of the biggest games every year. And I think it's going to be just that this year.
Yeah, Coach. It was interesting. I I was. It started off kind of weird, Thursday, because honestly, and like I said, we gonna get into it, but I honestly thought I had the MEAC figured out. I thought NCCU would pretty much walk through the MEAC, and if Jackson State could hold on the rest of the season, then they would be playing Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl. But it just goes to show you anything can happen, as you well know. And I just want everybody, all the Bishop Campbell fans that are let him know that he's on his way. It was my fault. I thought I had sent him a link to jump on. I had not. So charge it to my head, not my heart. I made a mistake. Matter of fact, we were just on the phone prior to getting on, and I sent him an email, and he didn't realize the time change. So I want to apologize to him for that, because I'm gonna end up getting him on here late. He's usually a stickler for time, so I want to apologize to him because he's a time sensitive guy. He's one of those guys that would much rather be early, an hour early than a minute late. Yeah. So go ahead. With no further ado, we got the Bishop in with us, and before we go started, we're going recapping last week. How you doing, Bishop?
Hey man, listen. Came back from homecoming. Enjoying myself. Got with many of our classmates. They dedicated our $100,000 plaque, so that was awesome. Got to do that. We were going on to 500K. Had a rough night last night, but we still gonna march on. So I hope we're here for people to relax, release, and we're gonna talk a little bit HBCU sports. Not gonna talk nothing else. We want people. We understand last night, but we are here for you all to relax a little bit. It's been stressful 24 hours, Coach.
Well, let me say this from a guy that's kind of new to this space, being completely immersed in it. This has been a breath of fresh air for me during this particular time in this regard. It's good to have something that's our own, that's just us. I may get disappointed depending on other people. I'm never disappointed by us in that way, because we're pretty consistent about the things that are important to us. And it's just so good to be involved in this and kind of shut the world out for a little bit and just focus on what we have going as a community here in HBCU sports, man. Again, I always want to thank the people who log on each and every week, because and when I see people out at the games and stuff like that, man, because this has been a tremendous breath of fresh air for me, and I'm glad that I'm a part of this, especially during this time, Coach and Mr. Campbell.
Well, I just want to know, Mr. Campbell, I see this big old G behind you. And Grambling, I mean, boy, way to rub it in. I mean, did you put some salt on it?
Man, wait a minute, hold on, man. I heard we having Doug Williams tonight, man. Listen. Listen, man, you see, look, I got this from
Let me be
Listen,
the first to tell you. 10 years from now, you interview. Don't be putting on Texas Southern after we get out.
Man, listen, man. I know when my bread is buttered. Them folks from Grambling helped start my business, so I'm gonna represent Grambling, man. Listen, I was gonna put the picture with me, the president, the band director, and the tiger, but I didn't want to hurt y'all feelings that bad. I keep trying to tell people I knew this.
Yeah, what you trying to get a job or something?
Man, listen, listen. You gotta say I saw Doug Williams play, man. Come on, listen. This is Doug Williams, man. I gotta let him know. I gotta let him know. So I put my band. Hey, listen, I can do this.
Hey, but before we get started, since I was on homecoming tour for a little bit, right? Tell me, what did I miss at FAMU? Just put me right there for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what's funny. When you get older, and Coach is gonna understand this, you start looking at things totally different when you go back on the campus. Because when you on the campus, you were a child. And then you matriculate when you're in your partying phase. Now we in the grown folks phase. Ain't partying, you more distinguished. And you still just are amazed what comes out of that campus and the quality of people. But what you also, when you get older, you're amazed at what people are wearing, which is amazing. There's some little, and again, I know we have women that watch the show, but these girls were all wearing the same little outfit. It was cowboy boots and like these frilly shorts. Let's just say that. And it was just hilarious because what tickles me about people have amnesia, act like when we were coming through, they wasn't wearing biker shorts and Daisy Dukes. We started that trend. So, to see that, but man, just to once again, and we talked about this, to see the different generations of the old and the new and all, as they say, the coming of the home, man, it's still a good feeling. And my class of 88, we're all going to turn 55 next year. So we're doing a big 88 to 55. So we're having a big thing for all us turning 55. Because, hey, man, we ain't got too many more of these in us. So we got to set it out, man. We got to set it out.
Well, you should have told Coach to take it easy on my Tigers, but we'll get into that.
Let me tell you something. Are we going to talk about this now, or do we want to get
No, go ahead. We're going to wait. We're going to wait.
I got a message to deliver.
We got to wait. But the other thing I want to say is, this is something I wanted to mention other week, is that when I went to Southern, people started saying happy homecoming, and I thought, oh, well, maybe that's just a Southern thing. And then I went to Prairie View and people were saying, hey, happy homecoming. You know what I mean? So is that a greeting during homecoming, like happy homecoming?
It's like Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So it wasn't just a Southern thing.
No,
it's an HBCU thing. All right.
That is a homecoming thing. That is a greeting of as they say, term of endearment, like Happy Easter, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
Hey, see now he being ugly. He trying to be ugly.
No, that's my nephew. I still love him. Crook, no, I'm gonna say this, Crook. I love you, which you was getting me in trouble with some business. But he right. Hey, thick 36 is now big 30. Hey, big 50. Well, let me tell you something about big 56. Big 56 is still fine. See, we great on the curve, Crook. We great on the curve.
All right, guys. Let's look at some of last week's results. This is kind of like what I would call the independents. They're not in a HBCU conference, so to speak, and they all got they butt whooped. They didn't do good against the whites that week. But A&T is A&T. Hampton had a really tough day against Villanova.
Yeah.
And UT Martin, man, Tennessee State gave UT Martin all they asked for and then some, man. And unfortunately, Eddie George fell on the short end of this, man. But I was really, excited to see what they did against Tennessee Martin, man, because they really had a chance to win conference. And it looks like they probably won't do it with the loss to Tennessee Martin, but they gave them hell in the process. What do you guys think?
Well, they got Southeast Missouri is up in the top as well, and he hasn't beat neither one of those schools since he's been there. And to be there, you got to beat the best up at the top. Of course, I coached in that conference, and UT Martin wasn't that good when we were there. I mean, we ended up beating them 77-0 or 76-0, something like that. And they've really put a lot of money into that program to get it going in the right direction. So almost don't count in football, only in horseshoes. But when you are the highest paid coach, they expect those different results. But he made a good showing, meaning that he has moved the program. The program, it depends on how he finished. He looks like he's on the up at Tennessee State. I think this is his 5th year, I want to say. So
No, it's his 4th year.
Fourth year. So it's just taking a little longer, and maybe he'll get over the hump next year.
All right. You got anything you want to add, Campbell, before we move on?
Well, I one of the things Coach talked about it, and again, he did, and Coach mentioned Southeast Missouri State is leading the conference. UT Martin, Tennessee Tech, then it's Tennessee State. That was a big game that put them right there in the running. And I don't, Coach, have they played Southeast Missouri yet?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that would have set them up to potentially, like as Coach said, to win the conference. Right. But what we want Tennessee State to do, and Coach knows this, we want them to be a winning program. Let's get that there. Right. Let's get them to be that 8, 9, 10 win program, challenge for the conference. I think Eddie, like I say, he's got an outside shot at 8. He's at 6 now. Yeah. So can he get 2 more in the last? Well, they got 9 games, 3 more games. Can he go 2-1 to get to that 8th win, to really say, hey, this is where Tennessee State's coming back? But I was unable, like I said, again, due to all the things I was doing, I didn't get to see a lot of games this weekend, but I did peep this score out because I was curious. And of course, I did see the game on Thursday night with the big game that I know we're going to talk about.
One of the histories about Tennessee State and getting them back where they were, they would play Florida A&M every year, Jackson State every year. What I mean? They didn't play the schools they playing now, but I get it. I understand his strategy. A win is a win. Winning teaches you some good things, and you want to be on the winning side. So my hat and hands go off to Eddie George and what he's doing up there at Tennessee State.
Yeah, like I said, I want him to do well, Coach. Too, I'm with you, and I want him to do it big, similar to the way that Dion did it. But it doesn't look like his is going to happen as quick or as fast. But I think he's on the right trajectory, Coach. And as a coach, have you put him in that 25% yet? Or is he still working his way into it, Coach?
Coach, he's still working his way into it. We you guys have got, I got this word from both of y'all guys. Tennessee State used to be a blueprint program of HBCU. In the top 3. Would you say that, Coach?
Well, 100%, because you're going to talk about national championships, players put in the NFL, depending on which list you look, they're number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, and Hall of Famers and
Hall of Famers, absolutely.
Yeah. And they used to play that type of schedule, Coach. They played all the best. They didn't, now, you got Valley on the schedule, Lane College on the schedule. You got Arkansas Pine Bluff on the schedule. He don't have our big dogs, Jackson State, Florida A&M, North Carolina A&T, Southern University, and then they go into their conference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we ain't there. We ain't ready to give him we ain't ready to put him up there yet, Coach. But hey, let's say he 50 to 74.
All right. He ain't in the bottom 25. Is that what you're saying, Coach?
Yeah. He ain't in the bottom 25.
All right, Coach. So here we go. This is a game. I don't have the Morgan State score correct. It was they won a barn burner, 37-38. This is another game that Norfolk was in control of for a while, and they end up giving it up right at the end. And so I want to say the better team won, but I'm not accustomed to Morgan State giving up that many points. And so, but it was a really good game. I must admit.
Yeah. Uh, it's glad to see Norfolk put some numbers up. Unfortunately, again, close is only counting horseshoes. He needs to get some wins. He's running out of time. We hate to see anybody where their job is in jeopardy, but after 4 years, these are the games you should be winning and not losing to first year coaches or second year
Mm.
coaches. You've been in this program for 4 years. You should be ready to go. Your kids should understand your strategy of what you're doing. I don't believe in moral victories. A win is a win, a loss is a loss.
And, and,
So my
and
hat goes off to Morgan State.
so, Coach, sitting at 3-7 in your fourth year, um,
I hate to say
with
it.
with with 2 games left, Coach. What? Put your administrator hat on, Coach. What do you do here, Coach?
See here, what this was what I do. Just administrative. Hey guys, administrative hat. I'm not a coach. After 4 years, I think any coach who's worth his salt, and this is just Johnny Cole's belief, is that in his third year he should be pushing for a title. Maybe not to win it, but push it. His fourth year, I want him there. You know what I mean? Winning season, I'll take 74, 83, depends on what program. Norfolk is a perennial losing program when you look back on the numbers. By now, I would have started my search for new coaches.
So, Coach, understanding that when he went up there, he signed I want to say a 6-year deal when he went
6 year
up there.
contract.
A 6-year deal when he went up there. Y'all can fact check me if I'm wrong, but that was one of the benefits from him going up there. I want to say he actually took a equal to or even a pay cut to get those 6 years of security.
Well, then I got to give him year five. I I, I got to give him year five if you're talking about 6 years. I got to, even though it's ugly, uh, uh, and next year he's got to come out. He got to come out like he's secretariat, like it's the Kentucky Derby. By the time mid-season, we not gonna be sitting at 2-3. You know what I mean? We gonna be sitting at 3-1, 4-1, 4-2 by the time our fifth year. If not, right about now, as an AD, I would be looking and putting things out about a new coach, of who I'm gonna interview. Let him finish the season. After that season, that next week, I got interviews coming in. And I'll probably let him know the last game of the season
Now,
as he go into it.
now, Coach, let me ask you this: how unheard of is a 6-year contract?
Unheard of. Never heard of it. I've heard. I even heard of 10-year contract with what my man signed with Texas A&M. But on our level, I've never heard of a 6-year contract. Five
What
is
what
the most.
what about you, Mr. Cameron? Have you heard of such?
No, not on the first round. You get that to the guy that's been winning, and you don't want to let him go. But on that
Right.
first rip, I mean, coach knows this is usually, like I say, 4 years used to be the standard. Now they've gotten it down to 3 years.
Yeah.
So so nah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But I think Norfolk, honestly, they were trying to show that they were making a commitment to football. I think that's what it was. I think they felt that which again, coach, on based off his background at Southern, you know what I mean. They had gotten a winner, so we can't say he
Yeah.
was not a winner at Southern. So I think
Yes,
they
he
said, you
was.
know what, we want to make a commitment. We want to show our alumni we're making a commitment. I think they threw in those extra years, but unfortunately, and then the thing about it is now, to coach's point, now the offense looks like it's starting to roll, but it looks like we're 4 or 5 games too late.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
Right.
So what? So Howard had they didn't overlook Delaware State going into their big matchup next week. They handled business. We thought I honestly early in the season thought Delaware State had made some strides toward being more competitive in the MEAC. And to be honest with you, they did better against the whites than they did all the blacks. And so, can you guys explain me that? Right? Generally that it's usually the opposite situation for most HBCUs. You struggle against the whites, and then you play more competitively against the blacks. How can you guys explain what's going on here?
Go ahead, coach.
Well, you got to understand something, and I heard this, and coach is going to understand it. You're in the conference play now. These teams know each other. These teams understand what you do. They have more to get up for. So again, when you're playing a team that you don't consistently play, you're able to do a couple of things. You understand something? Howard knows Delaware State playbook. They've seen it. They know what they're going to run. They know what their players are capable of. So this is what you kind of see. Kind of the water kind of levels out when you start getting into conference play. You're not going to just see where all of a sudden where you can just kind of sneak a guy compared to when a team that's played you and they kind of know your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Let me give a shout out to Farasi Norman. I just want to give a shout out to him, brother that want to coach in HBCU real strong. But go ahead, coach.
Verasi Norman, I got you. All right. All right, coach. This was a big game. This is a big game. This was a really, really entertaining game. And I'll just recap it by saying you guys can add your commentary as well. NCCU struggled mightily early, having one first down in the first half. But then once they got into the second half, they kind of got their foot in the third half. And in the fourth quarter, they really closed the gap and made the game. The game was very competitive right at the end. But with 6 minutes left, I believe, South Carolina State was able to run the ball out, if I'm not mistaken. So what was you guys' impression of this game and how was this a big win by Chennis Berry or a huge disappointment by Trey Oliver?
You want me to go first, Coach?
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
Well, here's the thing. And this is what's so great about what we did last week. You remember we gave our grades out for the coaches, our first-year coaches, and we gave this coach.
Go ahead and rub it in. Go ahead.
Gave him an A.
You gave him an A. You gave him an A.
I want you to correct me because I knew I want you to correct me.
Yeah.
You see, the dean didn't want to give him an A, but the professor had to give him an A because I knew what he was working with. Now, we already said that Trey Oliver is the gold standard, so we already know he's already graduated. But to see what Chinsbury did on that Thursday night and to see that he brought and put his particular game plan together. And again, I just got to give a shout out to Eric Phoenix, who just went crazy. Like I said, Eric Phoenix, again, 26 for 36, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, 60 yards rushing, a very, as people want to say, controversial rushing touchdown that basically won the game as their last score. You know, hey, listen, they were ready. Those fans were ready. And I tell people this, and Coach knows this, if you watch HBCU football, there are certain teams that home field advantage means something. And when you go down to Grambling, no matter what their record is, the whole and the pride of that, and you see all that, but South Carolina State's the same thing. Because what did Buddy Pugh say? From my understanding, he told us, hey, look up there. You see, we need to add another one of those, which talked about all those championships that they had. So when you are part of that and you get in there, hey, man, you're going to get in a dogfight. So I think they executed there. But again, North Carolina Central, being who and what they are, said, you know what? We're going to make adjustments, and literally almost pulled this off. It was a great game. I was excited that everybody in HBCU land got to watch it. I think this is the type of rivalry we need. 2 young coaches, 2 coaches that are very articulate and able to explain and animated. We like that. So I think this is going to be a rivalry for the ages.
Yeah, Trey Oliver was hot as fish grease, as they say, on the east side of Waco. And at the end of the game, he thought he may have been victim of a bad spot, and he let the referee have it. And so, but I just think things like that happen. Coach, what was your impression, Coach?
Well, you know, the game is 60 minutes. Unfortunately for North Carolina State, they played only 30, and you could tell how good their team is and how good their staff is of making a big adjustment in the second half and coming out. They had only one first down, as you said, but they got that the last 30 seconds of the game. I mean, a half. I thought they found their spots open. I think they had opportunities on the 3rd and 21 when they got Phoenix out, and he ended up going, I think, 26 yards, something like that. When I felt that maybe you should have put a little pressure. And as I was watching the game, I seen, and this is my first time I've seen Trey Oliver first unhinged, first time I've ever seen him not comfortable. He's really calm. I've seen him in the Celebration Bowl when he beat Dion in even a bigger game. And I seen him lose his cool. That was for the first time. And I knew he was concerned and worried. I think offensively, they could have done a better job in the first half. They couldn't get their footing. But a lot of that came because defensively wise, they couldn't get South Carolina State off the field. I mean, they had 16 first downs in the first half. Sometimes you don't even get 16 first downs in a game. So I felt offense couldn't get going, defense couldn't get off the football field. Second half, offense really couldn't get going. They had big play after big play after big play. That means that South Carolina State kind of rested, But North Carolina Central had an opportunity to win this game, on the 3rd and 1, or I think it was the 4th and 1, that they had an opportunity to make a first down and they missed it. And then when they came down and had South Carolina 3rd and 21, and Phoenix escaped out and he didn't get the first down, but he got close enough.
He got 20.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that was the ball game. But two great teams. Can't say enough about Chennis Berry. We all know that he was going to be a great one to have. Trey, just got to lick his wounds, man. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with North Carolina Central. They're not going to go to the toilet. He just got to lick his wounds, and he just got to hope for some help. South Carolina State and Chennis Berry. Of course, I know Chennis know he ain't out to force. Now everybody looking for him. It's APB out on beating South Carolina State. You know what I'm saying? So
that's interesting. Does one win make you the hunted?
In that conference, yeah, because it's in the MEAC. They only got 6 teams. You know what I mean? They only play 5 games. So once you lose one, man, he looking for who to beat him. Morgan State or Norfolk State or what is it? Howard? Is it Howard?
I think
Delaware State. That's it.
I think South Carolina is up in the conference because I think they already have a win against Norfolk State, if I'm not mistaken.
So they looking to lose against Delaware State. That ain't gonna happen. Morgan State possible. You know what I'm saying?
And Howard.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So
they
really
got Howard, Morgan State, and Norfolk. They play Howard next week.
So really, they got to win 2 out of the 3, which they'll beat Delaware State.
Well, they already beat them. They beat
them. Yeah. That's the one they beat. They already beat Delaware State.
Oh, so they got Norfolk. So they got Norfolk. Right. So that's a tough schedule left there now. That's a tough schedule. But North Carolina Central, of course, got to take care of their business, and hopefully that they lose too. So it was a great game. It's MEAC type of football game. A lot of great hits, running the football, power football. Great MEAC game.
Hey, and Campbell, I'll let you announce these games. These games right here. There's some interesting results, but I'll let you go ahead and walk us through those.
Well, look, I was able to peep, but I'm gonna start. My people at Prairie View. Prairie View, 17. Mississippi Valley, 16.
Can we pray for them?
Man, listen.
Are they the worst team in the league now?
Man, listen. The shirts arrived in that small country. They sent them back, coach. They said they got internet. They got cell phones. They said, we don't want these. Come on, Prairie View. What are we doing? 17, 16, this is one of the things, and again, but I'm going to tell you what Prairie View scares me. Now, watch they play their heart out against FAMU this weekend. They're going to play their living heart out against FAMU this weekend. But Prairie View, 17-16 against Mississippi Valley. I mean, this is tough right here.
Is that a de facto loss in the grand scheme of things? I know it's an actual win, but is it because of the result and who it was against? Is it a de facto loss?
Well, coaches say all wins are good wins, so I'm going to let Coach answer that. But as a fan and as a team, as a fan and somebody who picked Prairie View to win the West, you're just disappointed because you want to see them again, win these type of games, kind of get their foot in and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna finish off strong. But hey, man, Valley had a shot, and you gotta understand something. It was 10-3 going into the fourth quarter. Valley was winning this game.
Wow.
So, do you guys know that Mississippi Valley in the last 3 years almost is down 1-2, almost was up 2-1 on Prairie View? They struggled for some reason. Coach McDowell and them Prairie View Panthers, they struggle with Valley. No matter how good they are, they struggle with Valley, whether it's at home or whether it's away. You remember the year they were supposed to go to the championship and lost to Valley?
Yeah, they lost to
Bad.
Valley. They lost to Valley bad, 21-7.
Bad.
It was 200 people at the game, though.
And now, wow. Well, it'd probably be less if it was. It was at Edabina, right?
No, it was at Prairie View.
Oh, the game was at Prairie View?
It was a weekend before Thanksgiving, and it was 200 people.
You talking about that game?
Yeah, you talking about that game? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this game, I don't know. It looked like it was at Valley.
No, this one was in Edabina.
Yeah. So, for some reason, coach don't. Got to get his team up to go in there and play them. I remember when I was at Texas Southern, and we went down there to play. In all the other years, it's tough playing down in Edabina. You got Greenwood and Greenville, and Edabina sits right in the middle, and it's surrounded by cotton fields. Rocky, you got to go down to cotton fields and catfish camp. So it's tough. Ain't nothing going on. It's the hotel off the road. Willie Todd lived down the street. I'm gonna give a shout out to Willie Todd because he used to tell me all the time, Coach, I used to hear the band play on my porch, So it's that type of atmosphere down there. And Prairie View has not been at the bottom for a while. So we want to give them a shout out in that way. We knew when they had the 0-88 team where they still stayed in the cellar and they finally got out and got their head up. But now they back down in the cellar. But the sad part about it is, and we're going to bring the man on later, the G-Man is down in the cellar. What is happening, guys? What is happening to the conference?
Let me say this, and Mr. Campbell may know more about this situation than I do. But it was a report by Offscript that Jackson State got access to UAPB's playbook, which led to this 41-3 victory.
Okay. Listen, okay, all right. Listen.
Now is he banned from Jackson State? Is that? I'm hearing this information as well. Let's somebody tell me about our people.
Who banned from Jackson State?
Is who?
It's Scotty.
Okay.
You talking about Scotty?
Yeah, I'll let him speak on that. I don't know if he's banned from Jackson State. I can't speak. But I won't speak on this. This thing. Okay, so there's two sides of it, right? If it did happen, okay, fine. But the second part, it doesn't matter if it did happen. Jackson State was still going to beat they behind 41-3. So, I think, again, if the players, because, again, we all hear the stories. The players got it. They made a joke about it, but I heard it was more of a joke. Hey, we know what y'all players are, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that T.C. Taylor and the defense, hey, we need their playbook to win this game. So I think the problem is perception comes reality. But Jackson State did not. Trust me, I said they were going to beat these guys by 3 touchdowns. I was on with Mike Reed. I told him to go high and tell them they were going to score 40. I think, again, what happens with a lot of times with a lot of these kids, they all know each other. They do a lot of stuff. And, people get back. Because, first of all, this is not the first time this has happened, okay? But I think we're trying to make this out like this was like TC and them had a whole game plan, and they needed this to beat UAPB. I'm sorry. Now, from a morality part, if the conference wants to say, hey, this is not what we're about, man, go on and make the statement and keep it moving. But to leave this thing hanging out there on Jackson State is just some BS, man. Jackson State was going to beat their behind no matter what. I mean, like I say, I'm a SWAC fan. I respect, again, the integrity of the game. But let's not act like that UAPB was going to have any chance of beating.
Well, this is what I was saying. I'll let Coach go after I say this. If Coach gave me UAPB's plays, I'd give them back if I was Jackson State, because I say I don't need them. You know what I mean? If I was a player. I mean, Jackson State is just that good. As you mentioned, Coach Cole, you see them as a dominant team in the SWAC. And so this kind of controversy, though it may be good to talk about, I don't think it factored into the outcome, to be perfectly honest with you. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I mean, what's the difference in giving up signals with the University of Michigan? And that shit went on the whole season. And what did they do? They didn't do a darn thing because they understand the magnitude of what Michigan was trying to do. Leave them Jackson State Tigers alone. They making a push. Maybe this is the team in the SWAC that will make a push in the playoff. Oh, we ain't going to the playoff. Oh, I spoke too early. But anyway, just kidding. Hey, man, we need Jackson State to represent us in that celebration mode. I'm still a SWAC guy, even though I'm neutral, but I would love to see the SWAC go to the celebration bowl. And I think we're going to have a good shot with them Jackson State Tigers.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, hold on, Rock. You know what? I'm going to tell you what, if I was Jackson State, I would sit back there. Let's just, again, because nobody knows, because like I said, I'm not in the SWAC office. But let's just say, okay, whatever players got. If I was Jackson State, and with Smooth, their AD, I would get with TC and say, listen, TC, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say for the integrity of the game, we're going to sit you down for a half of the Valley game. You know what I'm saying?
No, we ain't doing that.
They right here crying about it. What I'm saying is, these people are crying about it like Jackson State needs to be punished. So I'm saying that if you want to play this game, then you know what? Because they're going to beat Valley no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Because you got people say, oh, well, this and that. Man, I'm like, listen, I would be smooth like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell y'all a story. All right, real quick. Well, I got 2 minutes story. When I first started in this game, I was a GA back in 1986, Coach. And I was the film guy. And back in those days, it was on 18 millimeter. I don't know if I know some of my fans don't know that. It was 18 millimeter. And after the game, I would get the tape and we would take it down there for them to process it. And I used to have to sit out. I'm going to speed it up. Then I would bring it to the office, and then I would cut it up. I would splice it, cut it, tape it up. Offense, defense tape. Then I would call, and we were playing Alcorn State. And Alcorn didn't send us. We used to have to go down there, put it on the bus, and get it sent. All right? All that had to be done by Sunday night. And so what happened was Alcorn, we didn't get Alcorn's tape till Tuesday. But this, that's the SWAC. And I can remember, guys, when we got to Alcorn to play them in normal, I was at Texas Southern, and we exchanged tapes. And I was like, Coach Marino, y'all send us the tapes, ladies. He said, oh, Coach, it don't matter. Y'all don't have a chance today anyway.
Man, you had the tapes, the plays, all that, man. So, like I say again, I want to say this for period. We don't know. We ain't heard. Again, like Rocky said, and people, like I say, Scotty has every right. And like I say, one thing I will say that if somebody told him that, because I do know somebody probably did tell him that, and it to be something behind it. Now, what it is, but as far as people sit back here and act like that had anything to do with this game, and let's look, first of all, Jackson State has not let anybody score in the second half of the last 3 games. Yeah. That is crazy.
Well, the thing about it, man, is I know my playbook is out there, and when I was coaching, they, guys knew my signal. It didn't really matter to me. You had to beat me. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. It can be somewhat of an advantage. You don't want that stuff happening because that's not good for the league that people are giving out film stuff. So I think it's not going far. It's gonna fall in the lap of the commissioner, Charles McCullin. I'm pretty sure he'll make a decision on it, but I don't think it's gonna be.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this, Coach. Let me ask you this here, Coach, because I have friends in coaching, and this is Power 5 coaching. And they say what has happened is because they've worked with other guys, say like, just give you an example. Say Alabama's DC worked with Georgia's DC at one point, and they have a common opponent in back-to-back weeks. Georgia's DC had a real successful game plan, and I've heard situations where if it's Ole Miss or some type of rival, Auburn, whatever, he'll just go ahead and pass over the game plan that worked against them, right? So that in the rival game, that school will have a tougher time with the school they're playing, right? Already, go ahead.
That happens all the time, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I got different guys huddle today, and I sit and evaluate and watch film today, and I'll talk to my brother, or I'll talk to some kid I coach, or I talk some coach call me about, what you see and everything. Everybody is trying to get an edge, on this game, and a lot of coaches. Here's a big one. Let's just say you opening the season up with a team you ain't played. And so everybody calls around and find out who they know who have played this team, or you got a new coach coming in. Hey man, what John Doe like to do? Everybody is trying to get an edge.
Coach, I wasn't gonna mention it, but I know a coach to call you, talk your head off Saturday morning for the game. They got a game on Saturday, and they talk your head off before they gotta call plays and line up and play. And so I know that to be true. And so that anyway.
Rocky,
let me tell you one story. And Coach is gonna understand this. And this is what I'm saying. What coaches do this all the time. Literally, Bobby Bowden's son was the coach at Auburn. He called his dad. We were playing Florida. His daddy called him at halftime and say, "Hey, I'm telling you what Florida's about to run. I'm watching the game. This is what you need to do." So, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. And they laughed about it. We see the play. I'm going to tell you what that formation that they're running, this is what they do out there formation during the game at halftime. So, man, again, and or this is famous. How many times we heard all the MEAC coaches get together and game plan
against Deion.
And they laughed about it.
Well, hell, it didn't help because he beat them all 2 years in a row.
No. This is the MEAC coaches in the SWAC championship. In the Celebration Bowl. In the Celebration Bowl.
And help Buddy Pugh on first year, Trey Albert next year to game plan against Jackson State. And they thought it was funny and was talking big stuff about it.
Oh yeah.
Now I'll let you go ahead and speak about this game, and we'll get through it pretty quick. But your Bethune-Cookman finally got a win. Unfortunately, it's against one of your teams you really support and love. What do you think about that?
But here's the thing. Shout out to Ken Rashad, HBC Sport Grambling guy. And we were watching the coaches call. And I asked Ken, I said, what is the record of Bethune against Grambling? Bethune is like 5-1 against Grambling last 6 games. That is unheard of. So Bethune has had Grambling's number. Again, I told everybody the one game, the 2 years that Grambling went to the Celebration Bowl, they only lost to one HBCU team. That was Bethune-Cookman in those 2 years. And then they've beaten, I think, Grambling 3 out of the what's this? This is the 4th year, right? 3 out of 4 years that they've been.
Well, this Grambling team ain't going to no Celebration Bowl.
Can I ask something? What does that got to do with the price of tea in China?
Well, I'm just saying that clearly they have confidence in playing Grambling. That's what I'm saying. They have a record that they have shown in the last 5 games that they have played Grambling with and beaten them.
Well, I know they probably was there when Coach Jenkins was there. That's when Bethune was really doing a great job. Yeah. So so again, Bethune gets the win, and Grambling, like I say, it's it's going to be interesting as this season finishes out for Grambling. Well, Coach Mickey Joseph is a good friend of mine, and they struggling. As the old saying, if somebody tell you who they are, that's who they are. We went back and forth a little bit about Grambling beat Jackson State when I had talked to Mickey, because it was right before the State Farm Classic. He felt real good about his Grambling Tigers. But when, we talked about the stats and stuff here, where Jackson State had 5 turnovers, and it just caught up with Jackson State. You can't continue to have 5 turnovers and win games. And that's why, Campbell, I was telling you why I felt Jackson State was dominating the conference. It was because when I won the championship, we were averaging 4 turnovers a game. but we were that great on defense. You know what I mean? Our defense was that great. You know how you have a dominant offense or a dominant team? Our defense was dominant. We only gave up an average of 12 points a game. So offensively, it made where I could do a lot of different things on offense to score points. Gremlins where they are. They just where they are, coach. Uh, I don't, I've listened to Coach Mickey Joseph talk about making changes, starting with him. The coaches are not getting it done. The kids are fighting, but it's not working. So he really, really gonna have to make some decisions before the school make a decision on him. And as we know, we've seen his contract. He has a 2-year contract. The third year is optional, but it's the school's option, and that's a tough contract, man. And now when you try about making changes, you got to think, well, who's gonna come there, for 1 year, or are they gonna give out 2-year contracts? You know what I'm saying? Speaking of myself, if I'm asked, I'm saying, look, coach, I don't mind coming, but I need 2 years, coach. I can't come and leave my family and leave the job I got and come in there and we don't get it, and in 4 months, I'm out of there. So Gremlin, Coach Joseph, they're in a real tough situation.
Coach, let me ask you a question. You made me think about something. So they see the situation with Coach Joseph, and let's just say later on he moves on for maybe another opportunity or whatever. What do other coaches, when they see these contracts and things, do they look at that and say, that looks like a situation I might not want to be a part of? Do they factor that in when they're looking at that if they're potentially offered for the job?
Well, two things on that. Is it a coach that's just looking for a job, that's out of work? Or is it a guy that's a place where he's winning and he's doing well? And what you always say, coach, who they should be looking for?
A winner!
A winner! So a winner is looking at it and saying, nah, I'm going to stay where I'm at. A guy that just floating through, which most of them, 75% of them are floating through, they'll take it. Just to say I'm a head coach and I got a contract.
Hey, coach, and we'll talk about this later on because we got a huge Gremlin night that'll be on the show pretty later in a few, to be honest with you. But what about this Southern A&M game? Southern was down a lot in this game. They were down quite a bit in this game, coach, and somehow at the very end they managed to get a victory.
Coach, can I ask our crowd? So can some Southernite out there tell us? I like to hear their perspective. Every game is a nail biter.
Man, it's a bunch of them in the chat. They know who they are. Come on, they know. Drop that number, Rocky. They all in the chat. They've been waiting for people to talk about Southern the whole year anyway.
Yeah. Look, coach, I want them to find out. It's a nail biter. One thing about it keeps everybody in the seat. What's going to happen the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game? And it don't matter what the team is. The team can be at the bottom or the team can be at the middle. When they play teams at the top, they get slaughtered. And unfortunately, you talking about a rabbit's foot? Man, Southern guy.
I told you they got a monkey knuckle that they have. But
man, I'm gonna say this real quick, Rocket, real quick. I have made bets for these past, since, as they say, the Dion era on all these shows, and I literally am like 30-0. And I made a bet with my nephew, Tedrin, that Southern would not make it to the SWAC championship game. $200. And damn, I'm about to have to pay this off. 200. I mean, I have not lost. If people still owe me money, you know who you are. That played at Prairie View. I ain't gonna say your name, but you played at Prairie View. You owe us money, FAMU. For FAMU beating you behind last year twice, but I ain't gonna say your name. But I have never lost. Avis Heath has even paid me my money. Good brother, Avis paid my money. I'm gonna have to pay some money out. I cannot believe this. But let me say one thing though. I got to give credit because Vera made a point. You got to talk about T-Set. And I'm looking at this. I didn't get a chance to see this game, but I did see that it stuck out to me. 24 for 37, 294 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kobe Dillon, 19 carries, 85 yards. So, hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. Southern has their quarterback of the future. This kid is going to be dangerous. So, like I said, big kid, kid that can throw the ball, knows the Southern culture. Hey, man, they got somebody down there.
Hey, Coach, let's get through these last two games.
Okay.
Really quick, we got our featured guest on. You're listening live on HBCU Coaches Corner. We have the SWAC legend, the HBCU legend, the NFL legend, and now the Commanders executive, Doug Williams, will be on the show with us here shortly. But let's get through these last two games, recap these last two games. All right.
Alcorn. Great game, Coach. Great game. Two great teams struggled it out. I'm mad at Alcorn because Alcorn's supposed to be able to shut down ASU's offense. Let ASU get 21, their defense going to hold you every time. And that means to get to 21, they're going to have time of possession. They're going to hold the football. They're going to pound it. You know what they're going to do. They're going in there. They're down to their sixth quarterback. Hats off to Barnett, especially off to Coach Eddie Robinson and their defensive coordinator. They're playing good, solid football. Cheers to Alabama State.
Yeah, there's not much to Alabama State. They're just a tough, solid, hard-nosed football team that goes out and wins it the old-fashioned way. Alcorn struggle moving the ball, but I just think ASU is just a tough, hard-nosed team, and they're able to play football on their terms.
Yeah, Alcorn's made it tough for them to represent the West, but they still got a toe in it. They're looking for Southern to lose this week and also the Bayou Classic.
Hey, man, Alabama State is, like I said, they got one more game. They got to go down to that hold. But they set up that showdown. They are setting it up.
Yeah.
We'll be able to talk about in 2 weeks.
That's right.
Well, next week going.
I won't say much on this game. This game.
I will say a lot on this game, actually.
Hold on a second, guys.
We got anybody in the green room yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What you about to play some rattler music or something? What are we waiting on?
No. I was just simply we on the board. I was messing with the board. My apologies. We live on the radio, so
listen.
Bear with me.
Coach Colding and the whole coaches and the players heard Coach Cole on this show said they can't score, Coach. Coach, they are who they are. They're barely scoring 21 points. Well, you know what I told her? I said, y'all know that guy I'm on that show with? That's his team. He actually played quarterback for them. He won a SWAC championship for them. He said, y'all can't score. He said, Mr. Campbell, don't worry about it. Because we know you got to go back on that show Tuesday. We got to make sure that you come on there with a lot of that FAMU pride. So, Rocky, I'm just going to tell you this. For us to have the first game of the year that we scored over 28 points, what better game than Texas Southern? What better game than Texas Southern, Rocky? From the coach who said we can't score, Coach.
Hey, Coach, I suggest you hurry up, Coach, so your good friend Doug Williams can join us on the show, Coach. There's nothing else to be said at this point.
Look, hey, it is what it is, man. We wasn't ready. Great game from Florida A&M. We tried to make a comeback in the third quarter, but they wasn't having it.
All right, Coach. With no further ado, we have the
man. Let me introduce my man. Introduce my man.
Go ahead then.
First and foremost, guys, this guy coming on our show just showed you who he is. He's the first black quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. He's the first black quarterback to throw 4 touchdowns in one quarter. He still holds that record. For me personally, he was the first pocket black quarterback that I've seen in college, and he's the reason why I went to the SWAC. He's a dear friend of mine. He's never left HBCU, no matter how big he got. He's always taking time. He's over now the Black College Hall of Fame, which is backed by the NFL. Him and Shea Harris. I can't say enough about my friend, and I'm glad to have him my friend, another quarterback. He's a SWAC guy. He's an executive now with the Commanders. He still reaches out to black colleges. I know my alma mater beat him last week, so it's we don't get to talk about that a lot. He worked with the great Eddie Robinson. I think he's a 3-time SWAC champion and a 3-time Black College National Championship champion. Doug Williams, our guy.
Thanks, Johnny, man. How you doing? How everybody doing, man?
And then he opened up with a USC shirt representing his daughter.
That's
Boy,
right.
you're a father as well.
That's right. I got my baby girl is a freshman at USC. Unfortunately, she actually hurt her knee in practice the other day, and she's gonna be out for the season.
Yeah.
But I still got to support her. Still got to support her.
Hey, see,
That's
Coach,
right.
I got the one to my right. I might be to your left. He's legendary HBCU guy, and we got this other cat that he's a PWI guy. So we got to tease him, Doug. See, I can call Doug Williams. Can you call I don't know, Tom Brady? No.
No,
this was about Black College, baby.
Hey, Coach, this is a tremendous honor for me. Doug Williams has always been someone that I looked up to. I remember when he was I don't remember when he was drafted, but I remember in his playoff game, if I'm not mistaken, he beat my Dallas Cowboys. That's the first time I ever cried because the Cowboys lost the game. I was wondering, how do we lose to the Tampa Bay Bucks, Coach? But he's a man. Everything that you've done for black college, HBCUs, and NFL quarterbacks, particularly black quarterbacks, I want to personally thank you, because this ushered into this golden era of black quarterbacks that we have now. Doug, it's because of the path that you trailblazed almost over 40 years ago. And so I want to start this question off by asking you that. Looking back what the NFL is now, in 1978, were you drafted?
In 78, right.
1978. Could you have imagined what the NFL would be today?
Well, it would have been hard to see it from what it is today from back there. At that time, James Harris was playing backup, I think, at San Diego, the Rams. And then you had a man over at from SC. What's his name?
Vince Evans. Vince
Evans was at Chicago, but Vince came there in 79, I think. 78. No, he came a year before me. But he wasn't starting. He was running back kickoff and doing a whole lot of stuff. And then Warren Moon, unfortunately, had to go to Canada. Back then, the owners, the head coaches, and a lot of other people just didn't see a black quarterback playing. Fortunately for me, I had John McKay as the head coach, who had coached Jimmy Jones back in 1968 out of SC. So black quarterback wasn't a thing for him. And then Joe Gibbs, who the only coach in the NFL that came down to Grambling was Joe Gibbs, and spent 2 days down there. He went back to Tampa and told John McKay that if we want a franchise quarterback, we need to draft a kid from Grambling. But, I say that to say guys like James Harris, Marlon Briscoe, and Jimmy Ray, all those guys didn't get the opportunity that I was fortunate enough to have. And I look back what I was able to accomplish, and I wonder what they would have been able to accomplish if they had been given the chance or the opportunity to play in the league, which they wasn't doing at that particular time. So you look at today's time, man, it's a no-brainer. It ain't about black, it ain't about white, it's about who can get the job done. We started this season off in the NFL with 15 starting black quarterbacks. Wow. And I had just said this probably about a year or so ago, that eventually the league was going to be half black, not knowing that it was going to be that quick. And, we had the 3 young guys come in this year. We're going to have some more come in next year. So, it's going to be one of those situations where, you're going to have at least, let's say, half or more of the quarterbacks going to be of color. And ain't nothing you can do about it. And it ain't nothing you can say about it. You got to let them play. If you want to win today, it seemed like you almost got to have the Lamar Jackson and the Jaden Daniels and the Caleb Williams and the Mahomes and Russell Wilson and people like that on your team.
Oh, that's
well, Coach, you really are the Jackie Robinson of HBCU, first black quarterback. When you threw those 4 touchdowns and won that game, Coach, you actually really, looking back on it, Coach, you took a sledgehammer and just broke all the glass that says that a black quarterback can be a pocket passer and he could win the big game. So that it was it. Go ahead, Cam. I know you look. Doug Hill got his G-man back drop.
I see him.
He a Florida A&M. Hell, every time he be on the show, he got some orange and green on. You ain't no grabbing guy, man.
As they say, Mr. Williams,
The
Hall of Fame, HBCU player, Super Bowl champion. I had to do this for you.
okay, appreciate it.
I'm 54 years old. And you're going to understand something what I'm about to say. When I say you were so many people's hero, my age, from the time, because first of all, I'm from Jackson. And you beat them Tigers. You won 3 SWAC championships, beating Jackson State 3 years in a row, I know at least. Because I was at 2 of those games. We saw you go to Tampa Bay. And I want people to understand something. Those creamsicle jerseys, this man made those jerseys famous for black people. Who threw to another HBCU SWAC player, Jimmy Giles, a tight end. People don't remember that.
I had 2 of them. I had Isaac Hagan from Southern.
And Southern, I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
So far as that HBCU pride, Tampa Bay was actually Black America's SWAC team. And I'm telling you, because everybody knew that Doug Williams was down there and saw what they did. And to the Rockets' point, beat America's team, when they went to the NFC Championship game, beat Philadelphia, and barely lost to the Rams. Should have went to the Super Bowl. So, and this is when I'm a young kid. And then when I'm getting ready to graduate high school, and my mother and my father, my father's from Washington, D.C., and that was their team, known as the Redskins at the time. And my mother, who's from Jackson, lived in D.C., was like, Doug Williams, to break these records and then have to answer the question, how long have you been a black quarterback? So I had to set up all this to say how much I appreciate what you have done for the culture, because it means so much for a person my age. And I think we have a lot of younger people who watch, and I think they think the world started in 2000, but they have to understand it was people like yourself that, again, Joe Gibbs, who saw you, who then later coached you to a Super Bowl, that had the foresight to say, this guy could be a first-round pick. Now, with that being said, what my setup is, you've done a lot of things, and I know there's a lot of challenges. But you working in the front office and you brought Martez Carter up there, a Grambling guy that I followed. Talk about what you have tried to do in your position to really expose this next generation of HBCU players to the NFL.
Yeah, and I can say this, unfortunately, it's not as easy as it was back in the day. When I'm talking about the Walter Payton days, and I can remember in 73, 74, Jackson State had about 9 guys drafted, and Grambling had 8 the same year. And unfortunately, with integration and everything come in, it don't work that way anymore. Now if we're fortunate enough to get 1 or 2, if we're fortunate enough to get drafted, even signed as a free agent. But I was looking at the roster today, and we do have a few guys from HBCUs in the league. Matter of fact, I got one on the team now from here from Norfolk State. He's on the practice squad, Price. Him and I was talking the other day, and I said, hey, man, why you didn't tell me he was from Morgan? He said, I didn't want to say anything, Coach. I said, you could tell me, but the key is what we try to do, especially with the Black College Football Hall of Fame and the Legacy Bowl, is to get them on the stage. But young players got to understand this too now. Just because you're playing football, you don't walk into the NFL. It's not going to happen like that. You got scouts, you got a lot of people, and they go through so much, man. Sitting in that office, sitting in that room, it's amazing how, they get to a certain guy and they cut him up pretty much sometimes. You sit there and say, damn. And then you go back and the things that they're looking for, and you kind of see some of it. But what you like to do, the Legacy Bowl for me and Shaq, to talk to these guys, let them know, you're not going to make the NFL on 1 year. It starts when you get there, if that's what you want to do. You know, you got to start preparing. You got to go to class, but you got to go to workout. You got to do things you want to do, and then you got to have the talent to bring with you. That's all part of it, and it's kind of tough sometimes when you talking to parents and stuff about, you especially know how these ladies are about their babies now. You know, my baby can play, and I used to always ask the question. I say, "Ma'am," I say, "You say he can play. I understand that. That's your baby, but who else say they can play?" See, that's the key. You're not gonna make the decision. It's gonna be somebody else who got to give them a grade, give them a write up. Just today, I was just looking on the computer and just looking at all the guys that we have down as at HBCUs and see who got a grade on them, see how many guys are rejected and stuff, and then it makes you sickening for a while when you look at it, but you understand because they're not the only one. They do the same thing at the big school. They do the same thing at the small school and the black college. They do all in the same way. So I don't want them to feel guilty about that, but I want them to put forth an effort. And I think we all got you coaches and Johnny, you coach before you understand this. Everybody on your team is not going to play in the NFL. You might have one or two guys now in black college that might have the talent to go to camp and probably end up making it if they got that heart and that desire to get it done. I think that's what we got to do from a coach's standpoint. Is don't try to sell the people on everybody on your team because everybody on your team ain't gonna make it.
Right.
You got to know who I'm gonna say it like this, who your dogs are. Who can make the league and who can stand and who understand what the league is all about. Sometimes and not only players from HBCU, but players from the big schools, they get there and you know what? I got it made. And next thing you know, they out of there because that ain't the way it works. Like I tell these young guys all the time, man, hey, look, whatever you're doing, do whatever you could to stay here as long as you can. And when you get out of here, you put yourself in position to do whatever you want to do. But you got to do that first. Football, when you go to the NFL, it's all about football. It ain't about nothing else. They don't care about nothing else. They're going to do what they could to help you and your family. But you know what? Other than that, they don't care. They want you to come to work every day, be prepared, and get on the field and make things happen.
Well,
Oh man,
another thing I was talking, Doug, today. I'm sorry, Rocky, for never.
no problem.
I teach now, and I'm teaching. I'm in middle school, and I'm talking to kids about your attitude determines your altitude. And you kind of just saying, not only do you have to come in there and be able to play the game and know the game, you got to have the right attitude. Meaning, I'm coming in here to make it, number one, but I got to be on time. I got to talk their lingo, and that's what a lot of kids don't understand. They think just the talent is going to take them. I got some kids now in my middle school that their attitudes is terrible. So they play for the club team. And they think, oh, well, we got the best team. I said, you do, but you practice outside. The attitude is to get inside. So,
right.
Inside gym where you got the cheerleaders, you got people want to come see you play. Nobody's coming to see the boys club team. Everybody come and see the team.
No,
So
you're
I'm
right.
glad you said that, Coach, about
you're right.
It's the total picture.
Yeah, it is. And everything is about a culture. Every morning, man, we have team meeting every morning and sitting in that team meeting. And I've been to a lot of team meetings. I mean, I'm going into my 11th year here in Washington. And with the new regime, with Dan and with Adams, I mean, it's amazing what they have brought in here. I mean, because Jaden Daniel, we 7-2. We're a lot further along than a lot of people expect for us to be. But of course, we got Jaden, but it's a lot more than Jaden. It's a brotherhood. It's a believing in each other. It's working together. And you talking about, I heard you say on time, man. When they tell you meeting is at 10, they don't mean you walk in the room at 10. That ain't the way it works. If you're on time, you're late. And you'll be surprised when you go down there and you got 9 o'clock meeting and everybody's sitting in the room at 8:45, or 8:20 or whatever. I mean, that's the way it is. They waiting on the meeting because they waiting to get knowledge. They waiting to learn what I got to do today to get better. And what you're saying, Johnny, is exactly right. And in 8th grade and that middle school, they really don't understand. But somebody got to pull them aside and let them understand what you're talking about if they want to go to the next level. If they want to go to high school and play and be a good player, you're gonna have to do the same thing, man. it's a step ladder kind of. It don't start at the top. It started from the bottom.
All right, cool. We talked about your executive side with the Commanders and all that. I want you to put your coaching hat on, baby. You won your 3 Black College National Championship. You was the Dion before Dion. Of course, your personality is a lot different. You know what I mean? You took over from the great Eddie Robinson. So I'm gonna ask you a 2 question. What did you learn from Eddie? The basics of why he won all the time, and how you were able to come into Grambling and get them back going, because the old man was getting old. They were falling off a little bit, and you came right in and went straight to the top.
Well, number one, having gone to Grambling, you understand how Grambling works. Number one, that for me, that's the way it works. But how Grambling work, I feel the same way about all the HBCUs. Because back in the day when there was Southern, there was Jackson State and Texas Southern, everybody kind of worked the same way. You go out and you recruit some young guys and come in and build the program. Now, if you're gonna get transferred, that's one thing. But you got to build it first. You got to have a foundation. And when I went into Grambling, the first thing I did was say, you know what, let's go get a bunch of young guys who want to play and can play a little bit,
Hey,
and
Doug,
let them grow.
Can I stuff you in there? And you went and worked at other schools before you came in. You were prepared to be the head coach. But go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, you're right. I had an opportunity to do other schools. I went to the Naval Academy. I went to Morehouse. I worked at Southern in '85. A lot of people don't know that. And you tend to watch what other people do. And what I did was took from playing for John McKay, playing for Joe Gibbs, and of course playing for Coach Rob. And what I try to do what they did, and that is learn your players. Number one, who you're playing with, and I can say this: Coach Rob was one of them guys that coached every position on the team. That's why we stayed on the field so long, 3 hours and a half, because he was going to go around to every position and coach them. I used to tell him all the time, Coach, you got your coaches on welfare. They don't work. You coaching them. And he started laughing, but hell, that's the way he was. And that's why he was who he was. And Joe Gibbs had this thing where Joe Gibbs was one of the guys that knew every player on the team. I used to watch him sometime on the sideline and how he watched the game. And when a player do good, he know whether or not he need to give him a thumb up or whether or not he need to pat him on the back. When a guy mess up, he knew what he had to do, go talk to him or what have you. But he was probably one of the coolest game and adjuster that you ever been around. But he knew how to talk to players. He believed in character. And I thought character goes a long way. And John McKay was one of them guys that would just straight out tell you exactly how he done. If you can't do it, you get the hell out of here. That was John McKay, But you do that, man. And it's about getting the people. And football is people. I don't care how you cut it up. The players got to be able to like each other, and that's what we do now here in Washington, man. It's something to see. Like we traded for Marshawn Lattimore, I think yesterday, and just watching him today. In that meeting, man, you can tell he had never been in a meeting like that. Never. Team meeting usually lasts 4 or 5 minutes. Our team meeting lasts 20 minutes, 25 minutes if we have to, because Dan do such a great job of going over practice and what we did and showing them what we got to get right and stuff like that. And it's one of those meetings that you don't have time to get bored. Everybody be in it. And I think that's what has to happen. Even in college, I think, you got to find a way now with all this stuff, the transfer portal and all that. I know that's out there. People go out and get 20, 25 transfer and think you're going to build a team. The chance you build a team out of 25 or 30 guys from other places, slim and none. Is a reason why they in the transfer portal. And that's why I say you got to build a foundation first. You go out and recruit some young guys, man. And if there's 1 or 2 players out there that you need to help your team, that's one thing. And you might take some lumps early, but at the end of the day, when they grow up, and that's what I said when I first went to Grambling, was, I brought some puppies in there, and when they got to be big dogs, you didn't have to do nothing. They knew exactly what we had to do. And then all you got to do is just start replenishing what you already have.
You know,
Go ahead, Rocky. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna bring up. I know you as a football player, your career very well. However, being just introduced to the HBCU space, I wasn't as familiar with your history as a coach in this league, right? As I do my research, I realize how successful you were, not only as a player at Grambling, but also as a coach. What I'd like to ask you is, and in looking at your staff, there were also coaches that came out of your staff that ended up doing very well in the coaching profession. What is going on with coaching right now in HBCU football in that there's a lot of turnover, there's a lot of coaching failures, subsequently there's a lot of coaching hires, and what can be done to make that situation more sustainable over time? Because I see that as being a huge issue in the SWAC moving forward, with programs turning over coaches every 2 or 3 years.
Well, let me say this, and not because Johnny is on here. Number one, when you look at all the coaches that are hired every year in the SWAC, man, it's kind of hardening when you look at who they hire. And just because a guy played in the NFL, went to another school, don't make him that coach. You got a lot of guys that went to HBCUs who should be coaching, and Johnny is one of them. Number one, you talk about offense. I think it's a tragedy that nobody in the SWAC or MEAC or SIAC somewhere have not hired Johnny to be quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, or what have you. So I think what happened, we got caught up, number one, on Dion, especially today. Everybody's looking for Dion. There's only one Dion. And you're not going to find him anymore. And everybody think because he went there, he played at Power 5 school, he can coach here. Let me tell you something. Black college ain't the easy place in the world to coach, because it ain't just coaching. Your office got to be open 24/7. Because you got to be the register, you got to be the housing director, you got to be the cafeteria guy, you got to do it all. And that's the problem right there that they don't understand. And you know what? They really don't care, because all they want to do is coach. And I'm just saying that, man. And I think some of these presidents, some of these ADs got to get off the high horses and hire people who understand black colleges and who want the kid to do good. That's the key. They got to want to be there. A lot of guys is there for a stepping stone per se, and ain't nothing wrong with getting a promotion. I was happy as hell Dion got the job at Colorado, because that's the whole objective of coaching, is to move up. But you got to give somebody a chance who know what they're doing, number one. So that's my take on it.
Well, we're excited to have you here, Coach. And I know I need to get one in before I let Coach get in. Coach, on your 25th anniversary, you had came back to Grambling and won the championship. And I want to say it was in 2013. You came back, let me get Grambling right. You won the championship. Coming into your 25th year of winning the Super Bowl, you actually got let go on the second or third year. Instead of Grambling, HBCU having a ceremony to raise money on your 25th anniversary, they letting you go and fighting over parking spaces. Coach, I know, Coach. It drove a stake in my heart when my university done what they done to me. Explain your situation. I know, Coach, you came there to do things right. You had contacts to make this university, because you came back, I guess, just to get them back straight.
Yeah, you know what? That's I wanted to come back, and I had been there before, and what we did before at the complex, it's not a lot of parking area out there. When I was there before, I bought signs out of my money and put every coach's name and stuff in a parking space. And that way, every day they came, couldn't nobody take their parking spot because it was theirs. So in my second term, man, and I did the same thing. I just put everybody's name in this space, and we had a president who, I guess the way I always look at it, that he wanted you to kiss the ring. I wasn't in the kissing mode. I wasn't gonna kiss the ring per se, because I didn't feel like I had to. And I remember one practice. We were in the middle of practice one day, and practice going, and he come to the sideline and becking me over. I said, okay. I went over, talked to him. I thought he was coming to watch practice myself. And he said, hey, get them parking signs down. I got some people coming to. I said, Doc. I say, these coaches don't have parking space. You don't put no park. You don't own nothing here. I said, Doc, I understand that. Well, you can't put none up there. I said, okay. So he had his people who work in facility come and take them all down and kept them. I had bought them all. He wouldn't even give them back to me. That's the other part about it. And after we played ULM, the second game of the year, I went in his office, and he had a brown envelope, and he gave it to me. He said, I'm going another direction. I just said, okay, that's fine with me. And I just turned around. I told his secretary who was sitting at the desk, Judy Jackson, who actually I went to school with. Judy had her head down. She didn't want to see me. I said, hey, Judy, tell your president he visited. I live here. So I left. And that spring, and to be honest with you, they actually fired him that spring. He was looking for an extension, and they fired him that spring. But, at the end of the day, where I am today, I look at it now, everything happened for a reason. But if it was left up to me, I would have still been at Grambling, to be honest with you, because that's what Grambling meant to me. As a matter of fact, all the HBCU mean the same thing to me, because I want to see them all succeed, but I would have probably still been at Grambling.
Yeah.
Wow. And so that kind of answers my question. Before Mr. Campbell, that kind of leads into the next question is, I was going to ask, why don't we have Eddie Robinsons, W.C. Gordons, guys like that in HBCU football anymore? And you kind of answered that question for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of missed it. Kind of like we froze. I think.
My apologies. What I was saying, I was going to ask you why in this current era we don't have the W.C. Gordons or the Eddie Robinsons or the coaches that get long runways to build and sustain programs. And if anybody should have had the opportunity to do that, it would have been you. But you kind of answered that question for me. It seems like meddling by the administration tends to again, that's what it sounds like to me from the outside. It's not that administrations come in to support the coaches. It's almost to supplant your star coach. And for whatever reason, like Coach Cole says this all the time. You don't have 30,000 people showing up to a math, a spelling bee, or a math exhibit, or a math seminar.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, HBCU culture, the administration just not willing to accept that the football coach is the face of the university.
Yeah.
Let me say another thing too before we get the question in. Let me say this. When you see people at the Bayou Classic, the Classic in Birmingham, Classic, everybody who had Classic, right? Who are the first person to be on the stage?
The president.
The president. For what? You look at all other schools, man. You don't see the president close to the field. You think the president? We don't even know that president of Alabama. We don't know, but he wasn't coming in no field taking no trophy. He ain't sweated. He ain't did nothing. And I think that's what has happened to black colleges more than anything, is that the administrator want to take most of the credit for what happened on the field. Yeah. And that's a problem. That's an issue. But eventually, I don't think it's going to ever change, because they've been doing it for years. Believe me, for years. And they feel like that's what I got to do. And they forget that they're president. Sometimes they forget that they're president and ADs, and you got a job. And everybody know your job. If you're in the AD office, you got AD on your door. If you're in the president, you got president on the door. Then you got the coach. So you let the coach, and you go out and raise money, AD and president. And, if a guy ain't doing well, he's been there for a while, whatever decision you make, that's fine. But give him what he needs to work with and let him coach the boys.
Yeah. your coaching man is just so that we used to go on the SWAC tour, and I had the opportunity to go on the SWAC tour in '86, and Eddie Marino, W.C. Gordon, Gunslinger, they all sit up front. And you know how we used to sit in the back. And I remember they were discussing about how this conference is going to change when
Right.
people take over that ain't never threw a football and never, all these administrators going to get involved. And I'll be damned if it's 40 years later, it has changed.
No, ain't no question. It happened, man. And I just hate the way the way they go by hiring coaches. That's the thing that get me. And then if you can call and recommend somebody, oh yeah, that's fine. They don't even think about that. It ain't like I'm gonna recommend somebody who can't coach. I'm trying to help them. I ain't trying to set them back. But at the end of the day, you just keep doing what you're doing.
I know we letting you out. Hey, Rocky. Now, what you say about being hard in the SWAC? You don't need a what?
Oh, you talking about your frat brother, your homeboy?
They don't hire folks by your resume.
No. They don't look at your resume. So one of the things that used to struggle when I first got into space and started covering the space, Doug, they would hire guys that I weren't familiar with. It's naturally that I wasn't familiar with them. I wasn't familiar with HBCU coaching, and a lot of these guys are lifers in HBCU football. So it's not a problem that I don't know the guy. But when I ask who this guy is, they'll say, "Oh, he the president's frat brother." I said, "But what that got to do with his football resume? What that got to do with it? Why was he hired as coach? Oh, he was the classmate of so and so, or he knows this person or that person." And so, whereas on other levels of football, head coaching hires, I will say, are made generally resume only. You're not hiring a guy because of who he's related to at the head coaching position. Now, you may get the experience because you're somebody's dad, but if you're going to be the man, the head coach, it's usually because you've won somewhere before, you've had some level of success, or even you've shown some promise in some area of coaching. In HBCU football, over the last 4 years that I've been involved in it, I think I counted them up. It's been about 20-some coaching hires, because a lot of schools in 4 years have already hired 2 coaches since I've been coaching. But I'll ask a guy, "Hey, this guy's been a real estate agent for the last 10 years. How did he get this job as coaching?" "Oh, that was his line brother. That was his line brother. That was his line brother's the president, or his line brother's the AD." And those are the kind of things that have been done. Some of them work out, most of them don't, Doug. And so that's why.
And let me say this: the other part is, I think about my coaching staff when I first went to Grambling. I kept 2 guys that Coach Rob had, trying to do Coach Rob for 1 year. But I had to spend that year with them to understand that they can't do this. But they did it for Coach Rob. Like I told you, Coach Rob helped them coach. He coached most of the position. But I had Mike Roach. You know why I hired Mike Roach? Mike Roach had played football at Southern University. But I hired Mike because he also had a job at the detention center in Baton Rouge. And I watched Mike. I went to one day, and I watched how he handled kids. I'm talking about teenage boys. And I said to myself, I need Mike Roach to coach with me. So Mike came. I had Todd Bowles, who the head coach at Tampa Bay was my other first coach I hired at Morehouse College as my defensive coordinator. And he followed me to Grambling my first year.
Wow.
So I had Todd Bowles and Mike Roach. Hype from Northern. When I was scouting for Jacksonville, Hype was playing safety at Southern University. And, I was down there scouting and stuff like that. And we had a pro day at Southern University. You know what I walked up to Heiss say? Because I knew Heiss was smart. He could play, but he didn't have the ability to play in the league. And I told Heiss, I said, "Man, if I ever get a job, I'm going to hire you." And when I got a job, I brought Heiss Norton with me. And I brought my cousin Melvin Spears with me, who had coached at Morehouse College and a couple more places. And Melvin, he's one of them guys, he try to run your team sometime, and you just got to put him in his place. That's all you got to do. you can't let him run it, but he's a hell of a coach now. Smart is all outdoors. And you know, a couple guys, they didn't play with me. I had guys, not so much they went to Grambling, but eventually I got a couple guys but they was coaching from somewhere else and brought them in. You know, you got to get a staff that can work with young men, but at the same time, they got to be able to coach.
Yeah, and those guys went on to be head coaches as well.
Yeah.
You know, Heisman Northern, Melvin Spears.
Even Byron Brown up in Lane right now.
Right.
You know,
go ahead, Coach Campbell. We saw
y'all been holding Coach Cam out, man. Y'all ain't giving.
Hey, look, at least we ain't talking about Florida A&M.
Now listen, Doug, listen. One of the things I gotta say this: why I love Grambling. I have a business, and I was able to sponsor Grambling. They were the first school that allowed me to work with them. They saw that I was an HBCU alum, didn't have no resume, but they said, you know, you're a hard worker, brother, and you know at Grambling, you're always somebody down at Grambling. So that's why I really appreciate Grambling State University, and I love that school for what it does for the community and what it's done for HBCU as a whole. Now, I keep saying this, we got a lot of young people that watch this show. And see, I'm an HBCU historian, and I want to make sure they understand the proud history of our football and the SWAC. Now, a lot of people don't know that you were fourth in the Heisman Trophy running, okay? And a lot of people have heard this name, Earl Campbell. This man came in fourth. But I want you to kind of talk about the level of play and some of the players when you were in the SWAC that you played with and against during that time at the level of competition that allowed you to be fourth in the Heisman Trophy running.
But one school that always come to mind was Jackson State. You know, when I say Jackson State, it's three guys that was on the when I went to Grambling my freshman year. You know, it's three guys that was on that team that now wear gold jackets in Canton. Robert Brazil, Jackie Slade, and Walter Payton.
Wow.
All of them is in Canton. They was on that same team. And I'm not talking about Ricky Patton and Eddie Payton and what's my name? Vernon Perry and all them boys. And Ricky Young. All of them, Ricky Young drafted in the third round. Jackie Slater first round. Robert Brazil first round. Walter Payton first round. I played against them guys. And that's the biggest, one of the biggest difference today because you don't have that talent. And I'll say again, like going back to integration, you know, when you look at Alabama, when you look at Ole Miss, when you look at Mississippi State, when you look at Georgia, well, you know what? That was Jackson State, Grambling, Tennessee State, Southern University, Texas Southern. That's who that was. But you don't get that today because kids got an opportunity to go other places.
So what other teams when you played, like, who was somebody at Southern? Who was somebody at Texas Southern? Who was somebody at Prairie that you say, hey, man, when I played this guy, I remember what kind of impact he made. And also, who did you play with at Grambling that went on and played professional?
You know what? I remember in 1973, I was a redshirt freshman. I was at the Space City Classic in Houston, Texas. A guy by the name of Harold Hard. We had no idea who in the hell Harold Hard was, but at the end of the game, we knew who he was. They was running that option man, Texas Southern. We haven't tackled Harold Hard yet. You know, they beat us that night. They beat us to death that night. You know, and Harold Hard lived in Tampa. When I got drafted in Tampa, man, I had to go shake Harold Hard's hand. Because, you know, when we was Grambling, when we got off the bus, man, let me tell you, my freshman and sophomore year, when we got off the bus, we were so cocky, basically, we was cocky in our own mind, per se. It wasn't something you wore out. It's what you believed in. You know, I had Sammy White, I had Dwight Scales, and we had James Hunter. You know, James Hunter was a first-round pick of the Detroit Lions. Sammy White was a second rounder. Dwight Scales was a fifth rounder. You know, when Big Hand Johnson was the first round in San Diego Chargers. Yep. Robert Barber was the second round with the Steelers. Ezel Bill was the fourth rounder with the Giants. You know, them the guys I played with. You know, so when you talk about talent, I've seen talent at HBCUs, man, that is at the bigger schools couldn't even work with us. They wouldn't have played us. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that we couldn't beat Alabama, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and LSU back then. But they weren't gonna play us then. But I want
to say one thing. I want to make a point because see, you brought me to an inflection point. I think people don't understand that. See, the people that see LSU now, that wasn't LSU when I was growing up and beforehand. Because
No.
everybody knew, and people see LSU now. Oh, I said, listen, let me tell you something. In the 70s, LSU was a backwater team. They were a backwater team because of Grambling and some, especially you guys. Grambling was the flagship school in the state of Louisiana, just like Jack State was versus Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Let me tell you what Coach Rob used to tell us when, this is the underdog tour, and you don't understand where he's coming from until you get older. And we used to always say, Coach, why we don't play Tech, man? Why we don't play Monroe, Louisiana? Why we don't play LSU? Baton Rouge is the capital, right? So all the politicians are where?
In Baton
Rouge.
Yeah.
Coach used to always say, hell, Camp, we ain't got nothing to gain by beating them people. He didn't say play them. he didn't say play them people. He said, hell, we ain't got nothing to gain by beating them people. Hell, don't you know all the politicians are in Baton Rouge? Hell, what will we get? We won't get nothing. Little Grambling, we ain't get nothing. We go down there and beat them people. And at that time, it didn't register. But as you gotten older, you understood where he was coming from.
Now, I want you to talk to our fans too, Coach. Coach, y'all sold out Yankee Stadium. You sold out the Bayou Classic, the Astrodome, the eighth wonder of the world. They stayed on the road. They stayed on the road, Coach. And that's what to our fans. Y'all talking about these little video crowds. That was every week in them days.
Well, Coach Rob, our whole objective, Coach Rob had a mentality, and Grambling never played no more than 3 home games now. Right. Coach Rob had a mentality that half team will travel. That's what he say. We played in Yankee Stadium every year. We played in Detroit. We played in LA. We were the first team to play in Japan twice. We played in Hawaii. We played in Philadelphia. We played. I remember Jimmy Carter was running for president. We sold it out at the Space. What do you call it? Space City Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we played in Dallas every year. You talking about 50, 60,000 people. Then we got the Bayou Classic. We got that going. I mean, we had team will travel, and that's what Coach Rob believed in. And you couldn't wear no sweatsuit. You had to wear a tie, shirt, and a jacket to get on his bus.
Hey, Doug, let me ask you a couple questions about that. When I went back and looked up Grambling's history of opponents, like their record, right? They didn't have any wins against schools in the South, but they did have wins against teams that we know now, like Oregon and Oregon State and teams like that. What were some of your memorable victories? And they did have white players on those teams. What are some of your memorable victories or games against teams, not necessarily in the SWAC, but PWIs?
Oregon State and Portland, we beat them 19-12, and they called 2 back. We played Hawaii twice, and we beat them over in Hawaii. And the other game was Temple up in Temple. Temple beat us 31-30. The next year, we took them to Japan, and we beat them 35-32. So, there was big schools back then compared to us. Yeah. So when you talk about Hawaii twice and Oregon State, man, and then I wasn't there, but they almost beat SMU when they was with Eric Dickerson and them boys. If it wasn't for a block punt, Grambling would have won the game. Yeah. And they was number 1 in the country.
Wow, that's amazing. So from where HBCUs are now, right? From a historical perspective, it's hard for those schools to even imagine having 3 Hall of Famers on one college team, having 8 or 9 people drafted off of one HBCU team. It's hard to imagine. But this is what I want to ask you. How can we make that rich history of HBCU football alive and well and relevant today? Because I think once students and faculty, alumni, and fans of today realize that, the profile of the programs will become more prominent, and they'll realize that they have something of extreme value that can be marketed to people outside of HBCUs and HBCU culture.
Well, number one, we got to understand that and this the underground truth. People always say, man, why we can't get so and so? it ain't gonna ever happen again. You know, what we had back then is not gonna ever happen again. But what you can do, you can go out there and you recruit some kids that really want to be at your school, that might be like the day they put stars on certain players. You know, might be a 1-star, might be a 2-star. But by the time they leave the school, they might be 4 stars, you know, and be draftable. I think that's how you got to approach it. But at the same time, you got to put money back in the program. I know everybody don't have money, but whatever little, you got to try to help it get to the point where they look like a football team on the field and they coach well. But a lot of them go back to what you just say, the coaching part of it, man. When you got a bunch of guys who really don't know what they're doing, you know, they think they know, but you watch them, some of them on the sideline, sometimes they don't really know. They just on the sideline. You know, you just got to, I mean, even when I went back to coach, man, our league was pretty damn good then, you know, with the Cole boys and Jones and Alabama A&M and
Pete Richardson.
Pete Richardson and
Yeah.
Monty Coleman and Pine Bluff. You know, we at least had staff and we knew what we were doing, and the kids wanted to play. And you know, unfortunately, we didn't have that transport porter. We had kids that wanted to be around the program, and the coaches wanted them around the program. And they understood they got to go to class and they got to play football.
That's right.
Today, I don't think that's relevant.
Let me piggyback off of Doug too. Like you said, Doug, I don't know if we can ever get back to that point, right? But at black colleges, we got to make football important. You know, you come up, and I can just speak for my university. You come up on campus, you don't see none of those trophies. You don't see none of those old pictures of those old players. We hate on each other, Doug. You know what I mean? Like you said earlier about the administration that knocks the head coach over to get the trophy. And we don't take that information and move it forward. And that's the problem. It gets lost where PWIs, they hold on to those things. You can go back to some PWIs and you can see back when they only played against each other championships. We don't, as you say, Rocky, I take it from you, and I'm going to just say on the show, you know, Doug, when we first met, he used to tell me, man, HBCUs, y'all don't take football serious. I got to agree with you that we don't. We only take it serious during the time that the season is happening, and when they up at some classic where the administration could be up there slicing ham and turkey while the coaches are down there, you know, coaching our ass off and sweat. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Coach Campbell. I know, we've been leaving you out, and I apologize.
No, not at all. Because first of all, it's on. But
this is our historian, Doug. This is my historian.
But we got a couple of things I thought was very interesting. A couple of questions in the chat. We got a lot of people watching.
Okay.
And one of the and I actually like this question. They wanted to talk about how you came about when you created the HBCU football game and things like that. And have you thought about helping EA Sports bring HBCU football teams into EA? Or have you had any conversation? What was your thought process when you helped create that video game? And let's kind of talk about that, because you know, all these kids playing video games now, how important that is.
Well, you know what? When we first created that video game, there's a lady in Baton Rouge, Louisiana named Jackie Beauchamp. She was the one that came up with the idea, and she created, but she ran into a roadblock because EA had something where she couldn't do it, whatever they have in contract. You know how that is. And we couldn't get around that contract to get a lot of stuff in that game. And that's why it never became a full game because of that.
Yeah, I got the copy of that game myself. I got the disc myself.
Well,
right.
Well, let me ask you this here, Doug, because I see a formula for making HBCUs kind of not. I ain't gonna say farm teams. I'll just put it like this. Say if the Washington Commanders adopted Gramblin's football program as part of their charity initiatives or whatever, and there was some joint marketing ventures, and you could do that with other professional teams, because we all know HBCUs could use a little push, right? And I believe now in the NIL era, you guys can do that and support not only the players and the programs, but the coaches, resources, and all that to improve the profile and exposure of HBCUs. Because I would love for there to be an HBCU football game every Saturday on the NFL channel. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I mean, I understand that. That's wishful thinking.
Okay.
You know, the reason why they can't do it and won't do it because it they're gonna look at it from a standpoint. If they do something like that, the other school gonna say, "What about us?" So,
Okay.
you know, you got some smaller schools that don't have no money either. So that's what you're gonna be up against. You know, and especially today after yesterday, you ain't nowhere in the world something like that gonna happen. So you can almost forget that.
Now
But
I don't know. I don't know if you know, Doug, but the owner of the Atlantic Falcons granted um, 5 of the HBCU schools. He redone all their turf. Clark, Fort Valley, Miles, um, Morehouse. Morehouse. He redone all that. What's his name? I think he
Arthur Blank.
Off the blank.
Arthur Blanks.
You know,
He
let me say this about Arthur Blank. The reason why well, not the reason why we started, but the reason why we were successful with the Black College Football Hall of Fame, Arthur Blank is one of our biggest sponsors.
Okay.
So Arthur Blank is one of those persons who give back to HBCUs. He understands what it's about and how important it is.
Philanthropist.
So yeah, I know Arthur did that. And
Okay.
you know, he's good. He's a good individual with that.
Okay.
Doug, let me ask you a question. I know we're wrapping up. We got to, as you said, it's a new era. What would you tell players now that are at HBCUs what they need to focus on, what they need to do to improve their craft, how they can even get to a point of what they need to do to even get a tryout for teams? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you got to help yourself to get on the team. So what would you advise a lot of these young players now?
Well, first of all, you know, we got to look at it from a talent standpoint. They got to bring some talent with whatever they're doing. And like I said, don't start when they become a senior. Start when you become a student at the university, and you know that that's what you want to do, and you got the ability to get it done. And you know, you got to be real with yourself too. And every position got a size or something that they want to look for. You know, if you're offensive lineman and you 6'1", 280 pounds, you can almost forget it. That ain't gonna happen. I mean, that's real. And that's not killing dreams. You just telling the truth, you know. But if you got guys that got the size, you got guys that got the speed, the defensive back, running back, wide receiver, offensive lineman, you got the size that they're looking for up there. It starts at an early age, not the late age. And you got to work on what it takes to get there. I mean, all the agility drills, and it's not, you know, it's not one of those things where it's football season, I'm gonna work on it. All right. It's off season. I ain't doing nothing. No, this year round. You'll be surprised how much these boys now in this up here in this league, they working all the time. Even when they're off, they working. Like yesterday was an off day. You know, everybody was in that. You can hit a weight room in that clinking and stuff like that. Ain't nobody laying up and saying, you know, me and my girl going to town. We ain't got time to work out. No, me and my girl go after the game on Sunday, but right now I'm trying to work to get to Sunday. So I think it all depends on how hard you want it, how hard you want to work, and what you technique that you want to work on to get whatever position you play. Those are techniques that you need to work on.
Yeah. Coach, you won 4 championships in the SWAC.
Yes.
Give me 3 things that I know, you know, of course, we've been in the game. So when we go to games, we evaluate the games instead of watching them. We're watching the coach, we're watching, you know, how the team react. Give me 3 things that you do that you know that this is how I get to where I want to get to the championship.
Well, number one, the night before the game, you know, one thing you do is it's not so much a speech to pep them up, as much as a speech to let them know we're here, and you got to understand how we got here, you know, and what it's going to take to get it done tomorrow, whatever we play, and you know, at that time, Coach Rob used to always say that when we get to that point on Friday night, the hay is in the barn. Ain't nothing else we can do. The hay is in the barn. And now the next step is you got to let them know we're going to let the peace dove fly tomorrow. You know, you let the peace dove fly tomorrow. The hay is in the barn tonight, but the peace dove going to fly tomorrow. And you also got to let them know you have to put that mentality into them. You kill a gnat with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a chance, you got to take advantage of it. You know, whatever miscue you made, don't worry about it. Keep going forward. Don't tell me that the officials cheating. The officials ain't cheating. You just got to outscore them.
Yeah.
You know, and those are things that you can't let your kids get to the point that they start refereeing and calling the game and saying, Coach, if they holding you, hell, run faster. Don't let them hold you. You know, you got to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of getting the guy's mindset, man, and let them know this is championship. We're here, and we didn't come here to go home with our head down. We came here to go back with the trophy. And I can honestly say, you know, the 4 times I've been there, you know, we was in there with you all once. And matter of fact, I was talking
I ran a double reverse on you.
Hey, I was just talking to the kid. I don't know if you remember the kid that jumped up in the end zone to make that catch. You can tell that's the only catch. That's the only catch he made all year. But you know, it was.
Coach, he was flat. He was flat out when he caught that one.
It was championship game, and he understood what we was talking about. I just talked to him the other day, and you know, he just called me and said, "Coach, I appreciate everything you did." You know, and you got to have kids who appreciate what you're doing, because you know what, it ain't about you; it's about the kid. Because all of them went on to graduate, doing something, and go from there.
Yeah, without a doubt, Coach.
Can I ask you one more question, Coach?
Yeah.
Let me. Do you how much? And again, and this is a question I'm asking because based off of your time. Do you get a chance to watch a lot of HBCU football on Saturdays and stuff like that? It's hard.
I don't. You know what? And this the honest God truth. Saturday. Where was I Saturday? Shoot, I don't even know where I was. Oh, I was in New York. I had a chance to sit down and watch the Grambling Bethune-Cookman game the other day, you know, and I'm just saying I watched the Grambling Bethune. Ain't a whole lot more to say. I watched the Grambling Bethune.
That G1G too on Saturday.
Okay, go ahead. I got you, Kevin. You got it now. You got to go put the stake in Grambling now.
No, I watched. I just watched the whole game, you know, and you know, I got my observation, but I'm never going to talk about Grambling and other HBCU, what I see and all that. I just keep it to myself. You know, me and Shaq might talk about it and stuff like that, but that's about it.
Have you ever seen the G-men at the bottom, Coach? Ever? Not in my 42 years of HBCU.
Let me. I'm gonna tell you what Shaq. You know what Shaq always say? We graduating a lot of athletes now.
Athletes and football players, huh, Coach?
Y'all got a high GPA, huh, Coach?
Yeah, high GPA. You know, I think Mickey gonna get it turned around. Hopefully, you know, he lost a lot of games by 1 scores and stuff like that. You just got to have some kids that understand how to finish. And I think at the end of the day, when you look at everybody, they're not really understanding what's at stake. I don't think a lot of them understand they at Grambling either, the history and the legacy of Grambling. There's something about that G, man, that when you get there, and that's why, and that's why I'm not a big transfer person, because when they come in there for one reason, to play football. They're not coming there respecting the G at all. They don't care whether the GP or whatever on their helmet. They want to play football. And I think somewhere along the line, you got to respect where you are.
I want you to tell them, don't say the coach's name, but you were playing, I think, Jackson State. And this coach knew better. You know what I'm talking about. Tell them what you done, Coach. Tell them how you love the G, Coach.
I didn't do it, man.
Tell them you love the G. What you talking about?
I didn't do it.
I
didn't do it, man. No, it was the Tiger head.
Yeah.
You know, coming down the field, man, and I thought that was disrespectful because I went and told him myself about his players. You know, I just say, hey, coach, you know, don't let your players, man, go through the Tiger head. You know how they do.
This swag.
Boom, boom, boom. You know, and he just walked off, and the thing will happen. He walked through the Tiger head. Not his players, he did. You know, and. After that, the rest was history. You're wrong, Johnny.
I said, Coach, you ain't got to say it, Coach. Coach those 4 elbows, grab a man up. We ain't doing that here up in Grambling, Coach.
That's not happening. That's not happening. I'm telling you that right now.
And it don't happen nowhere.
No,
No, it don't.
listen.
It's a pride thing, man, and you got to respect people. I think that's the bottom line.
That's right. It's just like walking through the band. You can't when the band comes. I don't care if you're a football player.
No, you can't split them. No, you got to wait till they pass.
That's right. That's right.
When I cross that line, get a
That's
trombone.
No. Hey, Doug.
That's swag football over there, Rocky Miller over there.
I wanna ask him something since he made a comment about, he thinks Mickey can turn it around or whatever. I actually thought that Hugh Jackson was just about this far from getting that thing on track. And I just wanted to get your impression of the job Hugh Jackson did and what you thought about where he was headed before he was let go.
You might be the only one think he was that close. No.
First he messed up trying to bring Browns in the damn conference.
That was number one thing there. First of all, you hire Hugh Jackson. Why do you hire Hugh Jackson? Offensive, right? He's supposed to be an offensive genius, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and all that. And then you bring Hugh Brown in there to Grambling. They don't even hire him in Texas. Nobody hire him in Texas. You don't bring him to Grambling. You know why they don't hire him in Texas? Because of what he did at Baylor. He let the boys get away with raping girls and stuff, right? So why would you bring him to Grambling to Cleveland? We got girls that go to Grambling. No, it wasn't to me. It wasn't about Browse to me. It was about the idea he can come to Grambling and we can cleanse them. And we got girls at Grambling. I had a daughter and two nieces who went to Grambling. I'm thinking about that. No, send him over back to Texas. Let one of them Texas schools hire him. But they wasn't going to hire him because of what he did at Baylor. So, and the other thing with Hugh that I thought kind of got away from the whole program, you bring in a Lamborghini, you've got an airplane, and I don't know the suit that he had. I don't know where he get it from himself, to be honest with you. It became I'm being honest. It became a clown show. Grambling became a clown show. It was hard. It was actually hard to watch. Some of the things that transpired in the 2 years that he was there.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
hold on, wait a minute, because you know what? That being said, tell people, because again, you played for the legendary coach Eddie Robinson. What was his mantra of what Grambling was and what it meant to be a Grambling football player? I think that's really important because I think a lot of people don't understand the tradition, as they say, of that G. Kind of talk about that, what that really meant of when you were a Grambling football. Because like you said, we didn't get off the bus cocky, but we got off that bus confident because we were Grambling. Kind of tell people what that really meant, what that G meant.
Well, Coach Rob started there in 1941 and built the program. And he built it to a point that when you go to Grambling, you expect to win. He, like he always said, we don't rebuild, we reload. And that was the mentality. And that G was big. We call it hollow ground. When you walking on Grambling campus, you walking on hollow ground. So you got to respect Grambling. Not only the players that went there, but it was basketball, it was football, it was baseball, and it was the young women that's on campus. It's Grambling. That's hollow ground. The G wasn't just for football. The G was for Grambling, and I think that's what made it so special.
Yeah. When Hugh Jackson, coach, I know y'all must have had a fit when he took the G off the helmets and was saying, I guess his hurrah or whatever he was saying was they don't deserve to wear the G. But I think he missed it. He missed the point.
He did. The G wasn't it wasn't about earning no G to put on your hat. That G meant Grambling State University, not the football team, the university. And when you took the G off, you had more women mad by the G than you had guys who played there. Because that's what the G stood for. For Grambling State University, where everybody is somebody. And that's what they always say.
Yeah.
Coach.
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
I say, Coach Rob used to tell us all the time that, at Grambling, we didn't have a lot. And he used to always tell us, we've done so much with so little, we can almost do anything without nothing.
Yeah. Coach, let's talk about the Black College Hall of Fame. I don't know if you started it. I know you and Shaq. By the way, I've been in Texas Southern. I broke all the school records. But okay, tell us about how that started up, where you are now. I know you changed. I know me and you talked several years ago about people like Pete Richardson. I know Charlie Neal is up, and it was about guys. And I know you had to guys. I guess you opened it up. I don't know, but kind of tell us where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. What's the end game?
Well, now we got about I think it's about 14 years of Black College Football Hall of Fame, and the good part about it now, we are housed in Canton, Ohio. It's going to be when they finish doing all the work in Canton, Ohio. We're going to be in the Hall of Fame, and that's something that the executive director approached Shaq and I about doing. But it started because Shaq and I used to get together all the time, and we used to talk about players that, Shaq is a walking almanac, to be honest. Let me tell you that. He know them all. Talk about players that played at all these universities, and we used to always say, man, somebody needs to come along and do something about it. And we did that for about 2.5 years. And we started the foundation when Katrina came in. We started the foundation in Shreveport, and from there we got to sitting down. Kevin Kaplan, who worked for Coaching Charity, and we asked him, say, Kevin, what about a Black College Football Hall of Fame? Well, Kevin got to understand. Kevin was a white guy. He didn't understand where we was coming from, and he said, I don't know, guys. I don't know where that worked. And we was in L.A. I had just come from Hawaii. June Jones golf told me, and I was in L.A. with Shaq. And he said, I tell you what, let's meet for breakfast in the morning, and we'll chop it up some more. He got up. He came down to breakfast. He walked straight to the table. He said, I got it. And so we went to talking about it, and he said, okay, we're gonna do it in Atlanta. We're gonna try to get some sponsors. And that's where Arthur Blank came in at. Yeah. Him and John PR of System Payments. They the one who put up the money to have the first dinner in Atlanta, with Deacon Jones being one of the first. Eddie Robinson, Deacon Jones, wow. John Merritt, Tank Younger. We were talking about people that deserve to be in there right off the bat. Ain't no waiting for them guys. And
I came to that one.
You was there, yeah, but but we was in a hotel room, in a suite, in a ballroom, in a hotel. And we did that for about 3 or 4 years, and then we grew. Now we at the College Hall of Fame. Now let me tell you, Keek, about the College Hall of Fame. Arthur Blank again. Here's Arthur. When they moved from Notre Dame, South Bend to Atlanta, Arthur Blank gave the College Hall of Fame money for us to go in with them. Wow. And what they told us was, we met with them a couple of times. Me, Mel Blunt, and Shaq. And we met with them, and Arshell. We met with him in Atlanta. Sat down with this lawyer, and he told us point blank. He said, "Look, the College Hall of Fame don't want a Hall of Fame within a Hall of Fame." I said, "Oh, okay." So we started looking for a building in Atlanta. And we was gonna move to Atlanta and do our own thing. And Dave Baker, who was the executive director of Canton NFL Hall of Fame, called us and asked us, what do we think about the Black College Hall of Fame being part of the NFL Hall of Fame? That wasn't even a question. He didn't even had to ask that. And we said, yeah. He said, I just think the history needs to be preserved. And he said, well, we're going to do that. And we started working on it. And we got to this point now where they're doing a whole valorization of the Hall of Fame. And they're going to put us in there. But when you think about some of the guys that's inducted, that for years, nobody even knew there was, didn't even want to talk about it. And that's what it is. You got so many guys out there that you got first rounders who hadn't even been inducted yet. It's crazy when you look at it. We got a committee. Shaq and I not on the committee, but it's a 12-member committee. I think Lenny Moon on it too. You know Lenny Moon, right?
Yeah. Out of Houston.
Yeah, you need to get your resume to Lenny. Lenny gonna be on that board too. to do some of the picking of the players and stuff like that, man.
And that's a good choice for Prairie View and Texas Southern. Since
Yeah, no, we needed a guy in the SWAC area.
Yeah.
Because you got guys that know the East, but they didn't really know the SWAC, and that's
Right.
where Lenny Moon come in at. So it's a good deal. It's good for good me and Shaq. Like I tell Shaq all the time, we two old po boys from Grambling, from Louisiana. We couldn't even rub two plug nickels together, and now the NFL is working with us, and the Hall of Fame is working with us. You know, like we do the coaches summit every year in California, man, and you know Troy Vincent has been a blessing to us, and you know we just trying to help black folks get the foot in the door. That's the most important thing.
Wait, Coach. Wait. I got one thing because this is so important. He keeps, and Mr. Williams, I got to say this, and the reason why this is important. You keep saying Shaq Harris. Tell people, our young people, exactly who Shaq Harris is, because they're hearing. I don't think they understand the magnitude and the history maker that he is.
You talking about the first black quarterback to lead a team to a playoff. You're talking about the first black quarterback to play in the Pro Bowl. The first black quarterback to be named MVP in the Pro Bowl. You're talking about James Shaq Harris from Monroe, Louisiana, Carroll High School. And he was a quarterback at Grambling, which is 3-time SWAC champion. So that's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
now, didn't he play for the Rams, if I'm not mistaken?
He started off with the Bills.
With O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, he threw a pass to O.J. here and there. He started in '69. He started quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, and they traded him to the Rams. And the Rams, after that, he played for San Diego backup for a couple of years.
Now, Doug, I watched the black. I haven't finished watching it, but I started watching the Black Quarterback series, and it started out. And if anybody hasn't seen it on Prime, it's a tremendous show. I was just wondering, what was your role in it, just to and how much did you contribute to it?
No, my role was just to do what the rest of the guys did. You know, Michael Vick was the moderator, basically. Now, I don't think a lot of people know that Strahan production company. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that one.
No, I didn't.
Strahan Production. That's his production company that filmed that. Yeah, and Michael Vick did the moderator for him. I saw all 3 episodes, and you know, I liked it. I thought it was done well. I thought Michael Vick did a hell of a job. You know, being the moderator, but also having the opportunity to put himself in there too, which he should be.
Yeah,
I thought it could have been 10 episodes. You know what I mean? If you had to slow down, telling some of the history of where the guys came from and their contributions to the NFL, it was just so fascinating to me. The history of the black quarterback in the NFL, and one thing I think, and that was left out, right? Some of the guys who had these notions about quarterbacks are still living today. Like, these guys are still living today. And I really would have liked those gentlemen to really talk about the preconceived notions that they had about black quarterback. But I guess they're too ashamed to do so at this point in their lives. But I really would like to, because a lot of it is, I know for you it's not speculation, but for a lot of us fans, we're just assuming that they had some type of prejudice. No one is willing to go on the record and talk about some of the preconceived notions that they had.
You know, you got people who are talking about, not the people that was involved in it.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to the Hall of Fame to let folks know, because Doug, one of the things that why I started this show, and you've been on my show before, was we don't cherish guys like you, you know, and the ones before you and the ones after you, and we let that history die out, and we don't have a platform. Tell them that you also, with the Hall of Fame, you guys have a Hall of Fame game up in Canton every year. You know, maybe some people would actually go and support the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me say this, and we've been 3 years now, and one of the things we would love to have SWAC teams and MEAC and stuff like that. But what has happened, they view the schedule, they make their schedule out where they can't play that Labor Day weekend. And the other part is the cost. Cost now is a little different than what it used to be. And so what we did, actually, we're signing a 3-year deal with the SIAC and the CIAA.
Okay.
And just like you got the SWAC and the MEAC challenge, we're going to have the SIAC and the CIAA challenge every year. So what's going to happen, the winner of the SIAC and the winner of the CIAA this year, we're playing that game next year.
Wow, that's
Okay.
big.
Wow, that's big.
Well, let me
That's
sneak
on
something-
Labor
sneak
Day
something-
weekend.
Let me sneak something in now. Now the Cold Boy is over there at Clark now, and they throwing that thing around. He
Well, that's
might
why
bring
they
some
winning
more-
then,
he might
Johnny.
bring he might bring some Ohio folk up in there. But
that's
I'm
that's
gonna
why
let
they
everybody know.
winning then.
Yeah. Oh no, ain't no question, Coach. He's making a real impact over there of changing that program around. But I just want everybody to know that if we get out there, we ought to come up there regardless of who playing the game. It's a black college football game. It's a support of the HBCU Hall of Fame. I think that's a big deal. I went up there, I think your guys' first year, man. A guy named Al Wash, guys. We
That's
had
him.
Al Wash on our show before too. That's sponsored that, and I don't know how we can get that out there, Doug, or whatever we need to do to try to next year to help the attendance of that game. But we need to go make sure that we support each other.
Yeah, and I agree. Just like even with the induction in Atlanta, every year we got the induction in Atlanta in June. The
I-
second weekend in June in Atlanta. It's black college, man, and I guess a lot of people don't feel like I feel like you feel, Johnny. Black college mean a lot to me because if it wasn't for black college, I don't know where I'd be right now. Let's be honest. And I think a lot of people should look at it from that standpoint. What black college has done for them and what would have happened if they had not gone to black colleges.
It's the second week in June.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so and that's where it's at every year. So when we
Is that
we gonna
is
be
that
on
the College Hall of Fame?
we gonna definitely be on.
And if
that.
not, then you can go to blackcollegefootballhallofame.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is the exhibit already established at the
They got what they got in Canton, they got a rotunda looking there, a round area. Everybody that's been inducted, picture is on the wall in there.
Yeah.
And they got a little display of me and Shaq and Coach Rob and a couple more folks in there. They just showing you, that it's going to be there. And every year that they get inducted, like this year we had our game, they bring them all up there to the game and they got their pictures covered up. And big crowd, man, and white and black crowd to be in there. And they, because I'm going to tell you about a lot from a standpoint, from the white people standpoint, a lot of them don't know some of them guys played for the NFL. That's the other part. They really don't know. And you give them a chance to realize who they Mel Blunt and Donnie Shell. They don't know them boys went to South Carolina State and Southern University.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
We have a one of our followers and viewers is asking ask him about a book. My question is, are you in the process of writing the book? Have you written the book or?
He already wrote a book, Coach. You should have asked me.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Let me
Black
say this.
quarterback, man.
I did in 1990. There was a book came out. They called it Quarter Black.
Yeah.
And me, Warren Moon, Marlon Briscoe, and Shaq also cooperated on a piece, Third and a Mile. And now I am in the process of working on one. I got a lady working on one. I don't know when it's going to come out, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Make sure, Coach, so we can definitely get you back on the show.
Let me ask you this, Doug. Would you ever consider depicting your story on screen and as a biopic or something?
Let me say this. We did have a deal. Me and Will Packer and Lion Gates. We did have a deal, but remember when the writers went on strike?
Yeah.
And that kind of hurt it because it was in the process of going forward. and then all of a sudden Lionsgate pull out of it, and that just happened during the writer's strike the last year.
So it's still on the books though. It's still on the
No,
books.
but Lionsgate's pull out, so they didn't want to do it anymore. And Will and I, we talked about the contract part of it is none and void right now. But I've had a lady, my husband called me, talked about it, and I told her we'll keep talking about it and see what happens.
Because I think that would be of course, if they can make Boys in the Hood and all those other movies. No, and y'all saying it like it's funny, but what I'm saying is your story is inspirational in a way that's otherworldly. When you think about where you come from in Louisiana to become a black quarterback, to be run fourth in the Heisman, and then in the era in which you became a starting quarterback, and then one of the things that's not mentioned very much is that you went to play in the USFL for a while and then came back to the NFL to win a Super Bowl. I mean, like that seemed like that would be a sensational story. And I know there's some tragedy in your life that, we don't have to discuss right now, that you also overcome in the midst of all of that turmoil, man. I think it would be a sensational movie. Any filmmakers out there, man, Doug has an amazing story. And I think if it was put on film, it would be a box office hit, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Doug, see, I got some bad boys, Coach. That's why I win all the time, Doug. These cats here, they do their homework. They be on it, Coach.
Man, I'm gonna text Will Packer right now. That's my little brother. I'm gonna text Will Packer right now. Get this thing back rolling, man. Because Doug, I know you listen. Everybody remembers. See, that's why you got to have a movie, because everybody remembers. Well, whatever his name now, Bruce Jenner and the White Tiger with Harry Belafonte. Everybody, we all grew up with that, man.
My baby brother was in that movie. Mike was in that movie.
Mike, Mike, Mike and
ask you a question. Was it not Shaq Harris that came in to actually replace him? Was he the quarterback?
No. Matt Reed.
Matt
Reed was the quarterback at that time.
Okay.
You know
and let me tell you this. Let me tell you, Jane Gregory probably played 10 plays his whole life at Grambling. 10 plays. Not 10 games.
Doug, this is probably be our last question before we get out of here, but I have to ask this question this way. January 31st, 1988, what does that day mean to you?
Well, you know what? The good part about it, I still can remember that day. That's the good part about it. It's been so long. But you know what? When you get up every morning, it's a lot of things, you're thankful, number one, for getting up, It's a lot of things you remember. And that's one day that's probably going to, as long as my mind and my brains are working, going to always hit me on that one, But you always think about one thing, though, that it was me. But I wonder if that gave the other guys an opportunity. Could it have been Jimmy Ray and Marlon Briscoe, James Harris, and those boys? Because they still had the talent. And Coach Rob always say, it's about opportunity. You got to have opportunity.
As a young teenager in Waco, Texas, watching that on TV, I absolutely hated the Redskins growing up. I just want you to know that. Joe Theismann and those guys. But on that day, I was the biggest Redskin fan that you could imagine, because I didn't like John Elway very much either. And for you to have that second quarter that your team had, and for you to have that performance on that stage, I think from that day, that point on, the NFL has never been the same again. I just wonder, do you realize how big that moment was for the history of the NFL?
Well, you know what? That's a good question, because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of realizing it, because that was my job. That's what I did, and even today, I guess I go a lot of places up here. Every player in that locker room where I am today, you know what they call me? Every last one of them call me legend. Every last one of them, not one of them. The white boys, everybody. That's what they say. Hey, legend. I go in town in D.C., man, you're a legend. You this game time. Doug Williams, you're a legend, man. You know, but at the same time, I didn't play the game to be a legend. I played the game because I like playing the game, and it happens. I can't do nothing about it. If that's how they think, that's fine. But you don't even think about that as a player. You want to play the game, man, and I guess that's part of your legacy. You just leave your legacy, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Now this is my wife, Doug. She's watching the show now, and she's asking what happened on that day.
Well, you know, Miss
Tell
Miller,
her.
she gets first.
Instead of you gonna tell her tonight when you get home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. The first black quarterback in the history of the NFL won the biggest game in the NFL, which was a Super Bowl. And so it'll always be in my memory, etched in my memory that day of watching something happen that I, at 16, 17, 18, I never thought I would see, because black quarterbacks just didn't get a fair shake. You know what I mean? That, you know, whether it be Vince Evans, Marlon Briscoe, James Harris, Jefferson Street Johnson, that they just didn't ever get a fair shake. And I remember it so to the point to where you didn't start but the last game of the season, and then for some reason going into the playoffs, you were named the starting quarterback in the playoffs, and then from then on,
well,
you know,
I started a couple games during the season, but I came in 3 games to relieve the quarterback and went on to win the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so happened that last game of the year, I came off the bench and we ended up winning. And that's when Joe Gibbs said that he was going to start me for the playoff, and that's when all the history started.
Okay.
Did you get any backlash? Did Joe Gibbs get any backlash for that decision that he made?
In DC?
Yes.
No.
Tell him to listen. As someone who lived in DC and understood it, bro, listen. That
In
was
DC?
the perfect team for that to happen, man.
Oh man, it wasn't a better place. It wasn't a better place for a black man to be playing.
Okay.
And you know the thing about it, the last team to integrate in the National Football League. Ain't that something? They had a black man leading to the Super Bowl. No, DC was fine.
Yeah. Coach, well, my last question, because
Okay.
I'm glad you jarred me. All right, going into the game, is it something that you guys seen that they were giving up, that you felt, you know, because I knew all the wide receivers, you know, they used to call them, what, the Three Amigos or something?
No, that
like
was I had the posse.
Yeah, the posse, yeah. Sanders and that group. Is it something that you guys seen all week, or I guess you get 2 weeks to prepare? Is it something you guys seen, or that you felt that y'all could beat them deep? What was it? Because man, you was on fire.
Well, let me say that the number one thing was, you know, they got off to a hell of a start. Believe me, 10-0.
Yeah.
Kicked off to us, and Ricky Sanders fumbled the kickoff, and we found a way to recover the ball. But no, during the week, Joe Gibbs believed in running the football, whether you know it or not, you know.
Yeah. Oh, no,
and we said that we can run the football on Denver because Denver was a smaller team who was a gimmick team who liked to run stunts and do everything else. But we felt like with the offensive line that we had, we get to run that counter gap and that 40 and 50 gut and that 50 and 60 bang, that it was going to take a toll on them boys up front. And it did. We got to the point that we was running, you know, the counter gap so much that we caught Tony Lilly playing safety. We had 60 counter pass after the second pass. Well, the first pass was actually just a regular hits, but they came up to press. When you press and no help against us during that time, well, you got to win. We believe that if you come up press no help on us, that means you ain't got no help from the safety. That the 3 receivers we had, you was gonna win, and that's exactly what happened with Ricky Sanders. And you know, when he do that, then we start running the gap. And Tony Lilly came up on a play action fake. And if you ever go back to watch that video, when we faked that ball, you can see how he almost said he said, "Oh shit," you know. And Ricky Sanders was gone on the post route behind him, you know. So we was able to run the ball well, which gave me an opportunity to throw the ball well. And the offensive line, man, as I slipped and hurt my knee, they got in the huddle and said, "Hey guys, nobody gonna touch him the rest of the day," and the rest of it was history.
And the last thing, Coach, guys, y'all, I don't know if and Coach, when they ran up to you when you knew you got the MVP, and let me tell you something, I don't know how big you thought it was. Tears came to my eyes when you said, "I'm going to Disney World."
Well, you know what about that? Night before, a lady had came to my room from Disney World. They went to John Elway room too. Let me say that. Whoever the winner was going to get a chance to say it. And I just said, okay, But I was walking off the field. I was hurting. I had my helmet in the air. I'm just a lot of stuff was going through my mind. Lady probably was about 4'11", and I just felt her just jerking on my pants. She said, "Go to Disney World, go to Disney World." I said, "Okay, I'm going to Disney World. I'm going." Just turned and just said that. That's how they kept the whole thing.
Yeah, man, that was a black moment, because we always, I cherish anything black. I'm not a racist guy whatsoever, Coach.
No, but hey, Johnny, I understand. That's me.
Well,
Man, I mean, you don't know how many little boys, myself, looked up to that like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be.
Well, this is what I'll say. Those passes, those guys didn't have to break stride on any of those passes. Were you in the zone in that?
That's a good question. A lot of people ask me, was I in the zone? I don't know what the zone is. All I know, whatever we called was working. We ran a 50 bang where the tight end come in and trap the tackle up in the middle of the line, and I turned around. I hand the ball to Timmy Smith, and I promise you, wasn't nobody 10 yards within that line. They had wiped that line completely out. And Timmy didn't get touched. He just went up the sideline, man.
Well, Joe, you must have never played basketball, man. The zone
Yeah,
anything I put up for some reason is going in that night.
No. I had one of them nights one day. I had one of them nights. You're right. I scored 38 points one night. I didn't know how I got them there, but I got it in there.
Coach, man, appreciate you, man. I thank you so much. You never, whenever I reach out, and you showed me that 40 years ago, man, from the time you stood on who you were who you were, you never ran away from your blackness, you never ran away from HBCU, man. I just can't say enough. It's personally, I think you're one of the greatest in the world. Keep up the good work of what you're doing, man, and I look to hopefully your black college deal go to the next level.
Appreciate you, John. Appreciate all y'all, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
All right,
appreciate you, Coach. Thank you.
Hey, man, that was a big one, Coach Cole.
Coach, I just have my cheeks I'm just like this the whole time, Coach.
Man, like I say, to have Doug Williams on the show and for him to give us an hour and a half. I don't know what it is about our show. Are you giving them drinks before they come on the show or something, Coach Cole?
I'm so, having one every now and then.
Because anybody who comes on the show, Mr. Campbell, they sit down and talk to us like they in their living room, and they just give us so much information and knowledge. And man, it's just amazing, man, to get these interviews and talk to these people.
Let me tell you why that is. Because there's an appreciation from these men that have been trailblazers, and they have not gotten the shine that they deserve. And they want to tell these stories, but we talk about this all the time.
Ain't no platform, Coach.
I'm gonna say this, and Coach understand. We're all the same age. We're on the same age group. We did not have this growing up. It was controlled by people, the radio station, the TV, and they determined the time and what the topic of conversation was. We couldn't get on something like this and control it and call and the technology. So that's why I'm always so happy to say I didn't have this growing up. You got to understand, so I met a lot of people. I mean, a lot of famous people. And I mean, I met Michael Jordan. I met Muhammad Ali. But I'm telling you, this is one of the top 5 people because and Coach Rocky likes it, we'd say, I was a senior in high school, sitting in Jackson, Mississippi. Again, knowing who this guy was. I'm from Jackson. Seeing a guy from Grambling, a black quarterback, hearing all the things. A black man can't think. He's not smart enough. He got to run around. And this was a pocket pass who was, and again, John Elway, that boy could play. But he was the great, John Elway was Tom Brady before Tom Brady, okay? This was John Elway, okay? And John Elway, they gonna smoke them. And a black man, ain't no way, John Elway. And to see the domination.
And like from HBCU college.
From HBCU during that time to be the first. And the pride, like I said, everybody in Jackson went crazy. Like I said, my mother, I could call her right now. She's gonna lose her mind. I should have told her I was on. She's gonna lose her mind when she sees this. So that is what I have found with these guys. And for a person like Doug Wood, who when I say it's two things, he loves Grambling and he loves HBCUs. And he has been a brand ambassador since the day he stepped in the professional field.
You know, guys, I'm 54 years old, and I've been a big sports fan all my life, right? But there's two things that I remember as a black man that or a black person that made me feel so much pride that I couldn't even explain. And the celebration was almost out of body-ish. It was that Sunday evening when Doug Williams won the Super Bowl and when Barack Obama stepped on that stage in Chicago. Those are two experiences that I really can't even put into words how I felt as a black man, of how it almost was this, and this might be hyperbolic or whatever you may say, but I felt the chains break off for us in both of those two instances. It felt like we were being held back on the football field, and Doug Williams winning the Super Bowl, something was freeing about him finally winning the Super Bowl on that day. And then, of course, with Barack Obama becoming president of the United States, it was definitely something freeing and liberating about that experience as well. So I just wanted to say those are two experiences, one in sports, one in politics, that I can truly say really impacted me in a way that I really can't truly put into words. Do you guys have any experiences like that? Or
let me say this. You know, you talked about the Super Bowl, the biggest party in the world, the biggest football game and sporting event in the world. It could rain. President Obama being the president and the number one man, a black man being the number one man in the whole free world. Those are unprecedented situations and positions. But what I want to do, guys, is also contribute to you two guys for doing your homework, great questions. I mean, we were right on time. And like I said, the platform, I think he enjoyed it. And I mean, Campbell, you said it enough. It wasn't never, we have nowhere to celebrate our heroes. You know what I mean? And these times back in the 70s and the 80s that have been forgotten. You know, as you always say, Campbell, these young folks think it just started. You know, and that's the sad part about it, is you guys don't know where it comes from. So you don't know what a winning coach look like. You don't know what a superstar or these people that went through so much to do so many things, because you don't have no background or presence of the expectations. You know, we grew up and we were young or in teenage or in even college, seeing 4, 5, 6 guys get drafted. You know, 20 guys get drafted from the SWAC. So now these days we don't have any. So when you guys are talking about, you know, football in the SWAC, yeah, we get it. We give you your guys respect, but we got to get the guys who laid the foundation, man. You know what I mean? Who made it where black college was something. And that's why I wanted to make sure we touch bases on. Man, they sold out stadiums, coach. We talking about the Magic City Classic. Oh, this is the biggest ever. They sold out Yankee Stadium, coach. They sold out the 8th wonder of the world, Houston, Texas, 75,000, the first indoor facility
And the money
Texas
wasn't
Southern
the money like it was. You had to save your money to go to them games.
Yeah.
So like this one, a bunch of rich folks going to these games now.
Yeah. So we're not doubting what's going on. We just said pick your game up because it's been done already.
You know, one of the things that probably the most surprising thing that came out of that interview, that when I reflect on it, I'll go back. This is the interview that I'm definitely gonna go back and watch, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna go back and watch because I want to make sure I got everything. But the one thing that, and I'll ask you this, Mr. Campbell, were you surprised to hear him say that if he had his way, he'd be still at Grambling right now?
No, because what was the first thing I said to you? I said 2 things that he loves: Grambling number 1, and HBCU's number 2. Doug Williams has always, first of all, because let me tell you what Doug Williams understood. His first support system was Grambling State University. When he was still in the NFL, you know who his support system was? When he was catching all hell, Grambling State University. Coach Eddie Robinson. He talks about this. When things were tough, you gotta understand something. Hugh Culver, I think a lot of people don't understand why he left Tampa Bay. He got screwed over with the money. It paid him like $150,000, $120,000. He wanted to just get like $400,000. And Hugh Culver, everybody was known as a total cheapskate.
He was the
like,
lowest paid coach, and he's the first round.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, and you gotta say it was a big risk. I remember this when USFL started. And Doug, you don't do that. Don't go to USFL. They're gonna blackball you. He said, "Shit, I'm going and get $3 million." But he made those decisions because people from Grambling that he was able to talk to, and of course with his agents and stuff like that. But he had this support system and this tremendous love. So it doesn't shock me as somebody who has admired and watched him from afar. This is the first time I got to talk to him. But I know a lot of people in his orbit. And I've met people that know him very well. He is a person that understands what the mission of Grambling State University and HBCUs as a whole are.
Well, I said this. I don't know if you listened to me when I said it, Coach Cole. I say the most surprising thing that came out of that interview was, he's an executive taking in consideration, he's an executive with the Commanders. What he said was, if I had my way, I'd still be in Grambling. Like that was quite profound to me, considering the success he's experienced outside of the HBCU atmosphere. That if he had his way, and the first thing to me, considering the struggles of Grambling here recently, why the hell he ain't at Grambling? And that's a good ass question. You know what I mean?
Like, man, because he got a great job, and he's at the Commanders that allows him to do all the other things. He don't need them headaches down at Grambling.
No. But what I'm saying is, but again, my point is, he should have been
able to walk away
on his own terms.
And I'm not gonna say the president. I know the president he's talking about because everybody heard this famous story. Because it reverberated. It was like he did what to Doug Williams. So this goes back to what we're talking about: not understanding what a person means to your university and all the things he brings. But when you have people that are book first, don't understand like I said, what that football made Grambling famous.
That's
right. And there's
no question.
Football kept the lights on. There was a reason, like you said, they only played 3 home games. Because they wasn't making no money. Hey, take this on the road. You gonna give us what? And he coach, they're back $70,000-$80,000 to play, all expensive. We going.
Yeah.
Like I say, it was quite profound to me that he would say that, a man in his position. But go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
But this is why, guys. Again, I guess I repeat myself. Why this is so important to me, and what you guys are doing is helping me, live my dream. Whether I get a dime from this, you know what I mean, or a nickel, I'm not doing this for money. One big thing, I don't do that for money. I live on bread alone, but this is what I'm talking about. That we don't take care of our own, coach. We don't. You know what I mean? We forget about it. But I know a lot of other guys that I definitely like, Willie Todd and Arneas Williams and, Chris Scott and all these greats that have left him, Grambling guys and Jackie Walker and John McKenzie at Grambling and Eddie Payton. You know, I interviewed Eddie Payton before. Before there was a Payton, Eddie Payton was the guy, guys.
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Everybody
man,
tell you that.
Coach, he was twice as fast as his brother was.
I watched him. I watched him return a kickoff for a touchdown for the Minnesota Vikings once.
And let me tell you this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's my. I don't know if he came from the. He must have came from like the Canadian League or something like that, because it was probably in the early '80s when I saw him do this. Mm-hmm. So if he was older than Walter, he was already an established player. So he must have been again. He must have come from some other league, but he returned the kickoff for a touchdown by the Minnesota Vikings, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And he was, he coached golf at Jackson State. Y'all know how many SWAC championships he won? 27.
Wow.
27 SWAC championships. They wouldn't make him the athletic director, you know what I mean? And then he ended up just walking away. This is why I'm talking about love, guys. This is what I'm talking about, making sure that you protect your brand. You know what I mean? I know you Jacksonians out there. So I'm gonna get Eddie on, and I'll wait. I don't know what we can call this section, Campbell. I know you come up with all our different things, legendary, day or whatever you want, and we could do those type of things because I know a bunch of guys that love to come on and have this same conversation.
Let me say
Mike
something funny
on here.
Rocky, let me tell you that, and the coach, this is not hyperbole. Eddie Payton was one of the forerunners to get black people to play golf. Period.
Yeah.
He had black people in Jackson playing golf and there were a lot because of Eddie Payton that picked up the game way before Tiger Woods. Those old heads.
Play it again.
Thank you. So I think the impact, what you said from golf alone, made him a Hall of Famer in his second career, like Coach said. And at Jackson State, unfortunately, because I think Title IX, they had to drop the golf program. I don't know if they brought it back or whatever, but I know that was one of the things too that everybody was like. And I mean, Jackson had a legendary golf program, not like you say, there wasn't like some amateurs. Legendary golf program because of Eddie Payton.
Hey, let's go ahead and pick these last games, and then we can get everything wrapped up and have our last reflections on the interview with Doug Williams.
Can I one thing?
Sure.
It was a guy said Jackie Walker. He knew Jackie Walker, and they talk all the time.
Yeah, that's Hunt. He's a very good. He watches all the time.
Ronald Hunt, Jackie Walker. We met on the SWAC tour. That guy became my guy. If you can give Jackie Walker my number, please have him call me. It's Ronald Hunt, 334-318-1141. 334-318-1141. Ronald Hunt, have Jackie Walker call me, please. I would love to have Jackie on the show. Great linebacker, 6'5", run like a wind. Man, great player, played in the NFL. But go ahead. That was my guy. And we had some stories to tell. I got to catch up with it. All right, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to get to these picks. We can speed through these. We got Tennessee State, Western Illinois. I'm taking Tennessee State. Western Illinois, I think, is 1-something.
Yeah.
Anybody got any? I know y'all going to take NCAT on the Villanova against Villanova.
I'm not.
Nowhere, no how.
This ought to be a good game, though. Townsend State and Hampton. That ought to be a competitive.
I got Hampton.
I'll take Townsend on that one.
Okay.
What about you, Mr. Campbell?
You know what? I'm going to go Hampton.
And then I'm sure we all have Morgan on this one right here, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Did we all decide we were going to take Tennessee State against Western Illinois, or was somebody?
I'm going to take State. I'm going to take Tennessee State.
What about you, Campbell?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Tennessee State.
All right, this is a big game in the MEAC. All right. I just see this seems like it's going to be a special season for South Carolina State. I watched what I consider an exceptional quarterback play last Thursday. I think he'll follow it up with another good game on the road at Howard. And I'm going to take South Carolina State on this
one. I think South Carolina State won a big one. Sometimes them big ones can carry over to the next week, and you forget about winning this one. I'm gonna go with Howard.
I was gonna say big game. The game is actually in DC, but I'm just gonna tell you something. What I like about Chinsbury, I think he smells it, and I think he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and an ego, and I think he's not gonna let these guys get in the way of him getting that Celebration Bowl. So I'm going. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Howard will run the ball a little bit starting off, but I think South Carolina, and I think Eric Phoenix is in the groove. I think he's going to throw for another 3 touchdowns.
Absolutely. I think the South, as much as South Carolina State has been known for running the ball and playing defense, I think with Eric Phoenix, they've adopted a new identity this year because with those wide receivers and Eric Phoenix, they're really able to move the ball quite well. So here are the SWAC games, and we got these are just so-so games, and then we'll put, I could have done Florida A&M with a feature game, but what Prairie View
that's
is
not no feature game. That's not no feature game. It better not be. It better not be no. FAMU should handle their business
just like they did this week.
Yeah, they better. This like I say again. This is, and honestly, this is not being funny. This is our last road game, but this was the trap game that I was worried about. So this game right here. FAMU, first of all, has to win it to keep pace with Jackson State. So next week can really mean something for a lot of teams. FAMU, Jackson State, and Alabama State. So FAMU goes down to Prairie View and handle their business.
All right, Mississippi Valley and Jackson State. I think Jackson State's punishment is they had to give Mississippi Valley their playbook this week. With that being said, with Mississippi Valley knowing all the plays, all the signals, all the signs, what do you think is going to happen today on this game, Mr. Campbell?
Listen, I think that Jackson State is going to clown folks about playbooks and things like that, and I think, unfortunately, Valley is going to be the one that's going to catch it. I think Jackson State's going to try to go for 50.
Yeah, they'll get 50, Coach. And let me say this. I know I've been saying Alabama State will beat Jackson State, but – you know, I'm kind of going back on my and first of all, Florida A&M, I think Prairie View has turned in their helmets and their food IDs, and they just gonna make it through the year and look for next year. You know what makes Jackson State so great, guys, to me, and so much dominant than everybody? Coach, they rushing over 200 yards a game, and they playing great defense. And they ain't even brought out the playbook. If T.C. Taylor stays tight to his cuff, put winning over T.C. Taylor, I don't see nobody stopping them, Coach. I think they're the best black college football team in the country. So it's a wash. I mean, it's what you say. How many they gonna score, Coach? 50. Yeah, it's a 50. It's a 50.
Hey, I just want to say something to the Jackson State people. Coach Cole is putting his resume out there because you see he's been riding. So if there's an analyst job, please give it to Coach Cole because he's been riding with y'all, and now he done switched up. See, TC must have told him, say, Coach, you know, we might have a spot over for it. So now he got to switch up, right? You see how he switch up real quick? He doing it. So now he ain't got to pick him next week. See,
TC gave my system some tickets, man, to come to the game. Last week I just texted him and he hit me back. I said, Coach, I know you're busy, man, but can you give me? I need 4 tickets, Coach. You know, trying to get some students down to Jackson State, and you know, I thought he was gonna big boy me, Coach. He hit me back, man, on that Thursday. Coach, I got you. Don't even worry about it.
Hey, Coach E-Rob, you see how he did you? You see how your boy did you, Coach E-Rob? You see how he did you? I'm still riding with you, bro. 88, baby.
The same thing I do with y'all, Coach. Y'all know, man, we Look, we welcome them everybody's campus, Coach. We ain't getting kicked off nobody's campus. We good. We up in the suites. We cutting turkey. We eating good sandwiches, all that good stuff, Coach.
Hey,
we do people right here, Coach.
Now on this next game up top here, Alabama A&M and UAPB, does Maynard pull up to U-Haul this weekend, or is his stuff still in the house?
Let me say this. This is going to be a good football game. Both of them throw that football around. Both of them are exciting on the offensive side of the ball. Both of them got something to play for. You know what they got to play for? I ain't going to be last this year. You know what I mean? I ain't dropping to the bottom. So this is going to be a good football game.
Look, I've got a bet with a brother, Jay White. He loves the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. I told him that they would only win 2 SWAC conference games. They got one. They snuck one against Bethune, and was really messing me up. So I need UAPB to win this. So I'm taking UAPB.
I got you.
All right, here we go. Bethune-Cookman and Southern.
It's a toss-up between the worst team, on the East and the best team on the West. I hate to say it.
The worst team on the East is Mississippi Valley. I'm not going to let you do Bethune like that.
Oh, that's right. They beat Grambling last week.
And they also beat Alabama A&M, didn't they?
They got 2, yeah.
I thought they beat Valley.
They beat Valley.
Yeah, they beat Valley.
They barely lost to Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
No, Alabama A&M blew them out.
So
let me ask you.
It's sad to say Southern is winning the West.
But you think they could lose this game?
Easily can you lose it? Easily.
What do you think, Mr. Campbell?
Well, here's the thing. We talked about this earlier. Southern's got their freshman quarterback T-Set. I think we saw that this kid has talent. I think they got balance now where they can throw the ball. I would have said earlier I still would have picked Southern to lose, but I think Southern has balance. And I think they're going to score enough points, even though Bethune went back to the other quarterback. I think Southern, again, I just got to give them credit. I think they're gonna win Southern's way. It's not going to be pretty, but they're going to end up winning it.
Turn around and look at that G. Bethune beat that G. They hype, Coach. They believing in themselves. They're looking for next year, and they know they got to start this year. If I was a coach, that's what I'd be saying.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I need Bethune to beat them so Southern doesn't get to that SWAC championship game. So I don't owe this $200.
Well, this is what I would say. Southern, if they do get clipped here, right, this could put their SWAC championship aspirations in jeopardy and could propel Texas Southern to the championship game.
Not Texas Southern.
Alcorn.
My bad.
Texas Southern done. Ain't enough games left in the season for Texas Southern to go.
Okay, got you. Yeah. All right, here we go. This is our feature game. We didn't have much to pick from, guys. We didn't have much to pick for, but I think this is a game that could bury Grambling right here if they're not already buried. Will they get buried in this game?
Okay, I'm going to go first, Coach. You see what I got on. You see my background.
That's right.
Hey, man, I like I say, FAMU, Jack State, the G, Alcorn, secondary. But those are my 3. But I'm sorry. I got to be a fan this week, and I need Alabama State to win this game. Because I need that game to be set up next week between Alabama and Jack State to mean something. If Alabama State drops this game, then that game won't mean anything because Jack State could drop it and still win the SWAC. So I need Alabama State to keep chugging along like they do, hold Grambling to 14, and they get their 17 to 21 points. And I think they're going to do it. So I'm going to take Alabama State. Let's go, Bama State.
I got Alabama State as well.
Hey, ain't no way, man. You playing against the best defense in the conference. Offensively, they got some things together. Also, my resources tell me they got their tailback back. They started the season off. He's back healthy. He had a high ankle sprain. I can't see it, Coach. And I don't know. We got to get the report on Crowley to see if he's coming back. But really, at the end of the day, I mean, what have he done this year? What have he done this year to make you think that he'll come in against the best defense in the SWAC and blow it out and tear it up? I don't see it. Alabama State's defense is the strong point is a pass defense. Even though they stopped the run as well, but they stopped the pass as well. Those 6'2", 6'3" corners they can play a lot of man coverage. It's gonna be real. It's gonna be hell at Hornet Stadium.
I gotta ask you guys a question. If Alabama State, now this is all speculation on my part. I really don't know anything, so this may be wishful thinking. If Body is healthy next week, do you suit him up as emergency quarterback?
No.
Nah, and he's not gonna be healthy next week.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be. And first of all, I don't think they want to put that young man in jeopardy because I think that injury hasn't healed. And I mean, listen, they got the young guy. I think that he has the confidence of the team, and you just got to, like I said, next man up. So I don't think you really bring that guy in there. No, I just don't think.
And they got their starting tailback back too. So that's gonna be very interesting as well.
Okay.
So
all right. I've just like I say, Body's been out 2 months. I'm not sure exactly what the injury was. I didn't know the rehab time out, but he's been out almost 3 months now. Anyway.
Well, you don't want to play because you don't want to lose that eligibility. That's why.
Okay.
So that's why you don't want to play.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right. Here's the last one. Game of the day. What do you think, Coach?
Man, as sad as to say that it's the game of the day. You got two teams. Texas Southern got 4 losses. Alcorn got 4 losses. I'm pretty sure. It's legitimate because Texas Southern, one of those teams, if you sleep on them, they can sneak in and beat you. It'll end Alcorn and then throw the throne to Southern, whatever happens in the Bayou Classic, because they already got 2 losses and the season's just about over. So Alcorn got more to lose than Texas Southern. Texas Southern is just trying to find their way, more victories and those kind of things, knowing that they can't possibly go to the championship. So I'm gonna take Alcorn. They got more to play for.
Hey, Texas Southern 3-5, 2-3 in the SWAC. Alcorn 4-5, 3-2 in the SWAC. This game means something for Alcorn. It's down there on the reservation. They've got to win this game. Goes back again. They got to try to keep pace with Southern and hope that a couple of people knock Southern off at the end and they have some miracle that they beat Jackson State. So Alcorn has a lot more to play for. I think Texas Southern has basically peaked and have tried the best of what they could do. I think they really have fun. Again, I like what Coach Disman has done, but I think they just fumbled the quarterback situation. I think they should let Jace Wilson play and let that kid rock because he had the experience. I think that would have been, as you can see now, I think that would have been a better choice. So, no, I got to go with Alcorn.
That's why when we talked about, and I want to do next week, Coach, in one of your sessions, let's talk about the grade on the older coaches.
Okay, let's do it.
But speaking of Chris Dishman, just what you just said, that's another bad coaching decision that you're going to play a freshman over a kid that's been in the mix. You know what I mean? You're not expecting to win. You know what I'm saying? Jace Wilson was picked preseason. Was it?
Second team
all conference. And you telling me that this freshman kid that's just coming from high school beat him out in a week of practice?
Yeah.
What plays was you calling? What defense was you calling against? It's a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? I don't get that. And if he continues with that philosophy, which is a sign of a young coach who have heard of somebody who do that, that's not a winning formula, man. A kid could be sick that week, arm sore, plays you call, defenses you call against, to have a bad week. I'm the starter, so I'm going kids' defenses on the other side. Kids play against each other in practice. So I want to get an interception on the starting quarterback. But when the backup come in there, it's like, I'm not. So anyway, y'all understand what I'm saying?
Well,
his philosophy is we're going to compete every week in practice.
Well, one thing I can say about these last two games we called, right? And I'm picking out Alcorn to win. But if Alcorn or Southern drops a game, drops these games, it sends the West in turmoil. The West goes in turmoil at that point, and it sets up a situation where it probably is going to be a 3-win team that ends up playing in the championship game.
Well, that's how it's always been, ain't it? Campbell in the last
Yeah,
3
three.
years.
You mean 3 losses?
Yeah, 3 losses.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's always been that way. The last 3 years.
Wow. So, but yeah, I got Alcorn here. I don't see a situation where Texas Southern can win this game with a freshman quarterback. They play hard though. They do play hard, and they keep it close to the vest. But I think they got beat up pretty bad last week. So yeah. I don't suspect them to go on the road and get a victory. I think that's. Did you have? So all of us had Alcorn. Is that what?
Yes. Yeah.
All of us had Alcorn. Hey, fellas, this is another great show. This is just what I needed today as a fan and a citizen of America.
You better believe
I needed this today, and this has been great therapy. And so it's been, it's been a much needed escape. But one thing I can say, as a black man and a black person, we've made it to this point, and we'll continue to make it as well, regardless of what has happened in our country. We'll find a way, like we always have. And if you guys have anything else y'all like to say,
I got 2 things I want to say.
Go ahead.
And because I'm not going to run away from this. A lot of people, Scotty did a show today, and he voiced some things. But I'm going to say this to all my young people. Mental health is a serious thing. And you cannot allow outside factors and forces, social media, YouTube, and things like this to get you to a point where it affects your mental health. And I think we're getting to this point where we're starting to be concerned about people that really don't care about us. And that goes on both sides. So I'm just going to say this again. I've been on this to all my young people. Stop giving yourself this turmoil, worrying about what other people say. Put the damn phone down. Cut Twitter off. Cut YouTube off. And worry and talk to people that care and love you. There's people say stuff about me all day, every day. But you know what I learned? They ain't helping me pay no bills, and they ain't helping me sell no weave. So I don't care nothing about what they say. And I laugh. I see people say stuff about me, but I understand those people don't do anything for my life. So I'm going to say this to all of you all that are in this mix. First of all, give yourself a mental break. Stop going back and forth with each other, because you're not doing anything but giving your own self mental anguish, and you're not making any money doing it. So I'm going to pray for all of you all, because I see the mental pain and stress that it puts on all of y'all. I see Timona posting stuff and Scotty posting stuff and this person posting stuff, and all of you all are talented. Stick to the talent. Talk about the schools. Talk about the game, and stop talking about each other. And the last thing I'm going to say is to all my people that went out there and voted. No matter what happened last night, I appreciate the fact that you exercised your right to vote, because I am from Jackson, Mississippi. There were people that marched and could not vote. My grandfather, I made a post, could not, when he graduated college, he couldn't vote in 1938. So for us to have this ability to exercise the democratic process, unfortunately didn't go where a lot of us want to. Just keep voting, because if you keep voting, you keep having the opportunity to change the world. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate Coach allowing me to have this G behind me, because it means a lot to have this opportunity as somebody who is a lover of HBCUs and loves everybody associated with this. I just want everybody to understand something. This is for us and by us. So I really appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, man, I tell you what, I very upset. I had a rough night because of the election. Of course, now you know who I was leaning for. I'm from a family of 9 boys, and I just been raised that if you put the time in and you're qualified, you should be able to be the person who runs the job. Uh, uh, in America, let me say this: it's the greatest country in the world. But it just let me down last night. And everybody has their reasons. Now President Donald J. Trump is our president. I will support. Uh, I'm not a sore loser, but I just thought that, and I'm gonna say this, that this lady, our Vice President Kamala Harris, is is one of the most brilliant people in the world. Uh, she's done the work. She's put the time in. I think she deserved to be the head coach. I mean, the president of the United States. You know, I'm a football guy, uh, but it didn't happen. Uh, I think that in my lifetime, that I never thought I would see a woman. I didn't only see one woman. I see now two, and especially a woman of color to be nominated to be the president or to be in the running for being the president of the United States. I think after last night, and I'm talking to women and men of color and men of immigrants or whatever they want to say, that that sent women back 50 years. I think in my next on from here that I would never see another woman be uh, in the running for being the president of the United States. I would love to see that because I have two daughters and they are just brilliant and they mean the world to me, about women's health, abortion rights. You know, that's scary. And I will have a talk with my daughters about choosing a mate, about doing those things uh, uh, when it concerns to health care, to make sure that we in front of this thing because that's real and it's about to get very real. So you know, I'm not a sore loser. You know, winners win and losers lose. Not saying that Kamala Harris is a loser because she's won everything. I take my hat off to her AKA Divine Nine. I'm a Kappa man, that good things. So we definitely will move on. So I appreciate it. I love you guys. I can't say enough about Steve and Rock, the study that they do behind. Guys, get ready for a different world. Get ready for what's going to take place. We got to sit in it. We got to own it. And like I said, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, you tie a knot. And you just hold on tight, baby, because ain't nobody like you.